Well, welcome everyone to our Giving Tuesday live marathon. And I am Tara Woodley, President and CEO of Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence. And before we begin today, before we talk about all our programs, survivors, holiday support, even into some wonderful guests and topics, I want to start with something deeply personal today. So, um, if you've followed us for quite a while on Break the Silence, most people know my story, but for those who don't, I lost a daughter to domestic violence 13 years ago, and she was 4 months pregnant, and her name was, Ashley. And yesterday was my daughter Ashley's birthday. She would have been 34 years old. And every year this week kind of hits me in a way. It's different every year. This year in particular has been really hard. There's no other week in the year like it when you should be celebrating the birth of your daughter and she's not here to celebrate with you. So, um, you know, as a survivor of domestic violence myself, um, it's a struggle, every year through the holidays. We've talked about that in topics before here on this program and everything. And I'd love to just share with you kind of the impact of what it has for mothers like myself as well. Um, I was thinking a lot about what I was going to say in the beginning here about this the last couple days, and it has been very hard because when you're used to having that loved one with you, uh, and you think time's going to heal all those wounds, but it really doesn't. It just changes the dynamic of how you deal with them. Uh, I think that's a daily struggle that even survivors have over the years. But she was just such a wonderful, vibrant, loving daughter, and she could be a real pill. I mean, there were times she got under my skin. After all, she is my daughter. Oops, I have to lift my chair. Sorry, guys. My chair went crazy on me. But she was my pain in the butt, nobody else's. And every year there was a tradition on her birthday that she always had me um, tell her the story of her birth. And this year, I was thinking about that a lot the night before her birthday. because the weather was very similar here. So it brought it back to life, very clear in imagery, because oh my goodness, I was very pregnant in 1991, and her due date was December 1st, and all the family had gone away on Thanksgiving to trips to various places, and uh, you know, I remember my one aunt calling that Saturday night, and I had fallen asleep on the couch, and she called to check on me to see if I was moving any, if this baby was coming or not. And when the phone rang, it startled me, and I jumped up, and my water broke. And I thought, "Oh, this baby's coming now," you know? And, so we got into a truck, and we had to drive 45 minutes to the hospital, and it was sleeting and freezing rain, and just praying we were gonna get there, and the sun had just set. And, we got to the hospital, and, uh, the doctor didn't even make it in. It was that bad coming up from Dallas. The doctor waited a little too long, and the doctor got caught in the ice storm, and, Ashley was like 5 hours of labor, literally, that was it, and she was here at, 1:23 AM, and she was, uh she was so beautiful. I like to tell people she was the most beautiful baby. Sometimes babies, her older sister came out and changed all these different colors, and she did all these things, and, um Ashley just came out just so pretty, and, of course, the doctor wanted her to breathe, so he gave her that little smack on the bottom, and she did this one yell, just one yell, went, "Ah!" and then she just looked at me, and that was it. And it was very indicative of the way she was all the time, because she was not a crier or a screamer, even as a baby or an adult or anything. Um, she kind of lived her life with that. If she had to take out her frustration, she gave out that one good yell, and that was it. And then it was over for her. She she was very loving in that way. And I told her, I said, when I was holding her, I thought the first thing I thought in my brain was she had the prettiest little face I had ever seen on a baby. And I'd seen quite a few babies, and but her face was just so sweet and so beautiful, and that's how she came into this world. And I miss her. I miss her a lot. And it's not something you're prepared for. You're definitely not prepared to uh, die before your child. uh, you expect your child to be there holding your hand. um, when you pass, you don't expect that your child is going to pass before you. And you sure don't expect that your child is going to pass at the hands of someone that they loved, that they brought home to meet your family, that he called you mom and dad. You don't expect that. You don't expect um, to get her isolated, from you, and you don't expect that, the whole world centers around him in such a way that she's in danger, and even just to call you and talk to you, it endangers her. Um, I never thought life would go that way, ever. And that's part of why, I have done this work for so many years, because I don't want other families to experience that. I don't want other women to experience the fear she felt, um, and the pain, and their families to feel the pain of what we feel every holiday season, every day of the year, every moment that goes by that brings another anniversary. Um, Ashley was a very generous person, and that's one of the things I'd love to put out there at Giving Tuesday as part of my daughter's, uh, legacy, to say, is this little story that I think about a lot. Um, these times of years when people are gift giving, uh, a week before she passed, Ashley called her dad up and says, "Hey, Dad, I need $20 for lunch for the rest of the week. Can I borrow $20?" And her dad was like, "I had just talked to you the other day. I thought you had money." And she said, "Yeah, I did, but I gave it to this homeless man." And her dad was like, "What? Why would you give your money when you're pregnant and you need to eat?" um, "Why would you give your money to him?" And she said, because he was like, he's just gonna spend it in some way that, um, on drugs or alcohol or something like that. Why would you do that? You need that money. And she said, "Because it may not been much, but it was everything to him. And I have a mom and dad that can help me. He didn't have anybody." And that has stuck with us as a family, for over the years on how we treat people. Because she was very adamant with her dad about, how he spends that is between him and God. But for me and, how I feel about it, I I gave what I had. And she was just that kind of kid. She was just that kind of person. Um, so when we pick different things, because it isn't just this organization our family donates to, there's others and people we help. We always keep in mind that kind of a spirit, the spirit she had, um, in gift giving, and how she, uh, was really that spirit that you think of in the Bible. She gave her very last dime, even that week before she passed, 'cause she could, to help other people, and that's essentially what the organization is all about. We are here to, facilitate, awareness and these programs, uh, to help survivors realize their dreams. My daughter's dream was to become a singer, and she loved to sing. She sang all the time. She would text and post on Facebook, um, words from songs on how she was feeling that day. You could always tell how she was feeling because of whatever she would post into her Facebook as a song line, whether she was happy or she was sad or angry. Um, it's been something every year to have to 13 years, since her murder. And it just that kind of grief, it shows up differently every year. And for me this year, it's been hard. I wouldn't say that I don't want to go on living, because there's times and places that people, parents feel that way in a moment when they lose a child. And I have lots of blessings that God has given me that I live for, absolutely. But there are moments that I would give anything to be with her. And yesterday was definitely one. Um, Her older sister and her babies, my 2 grandchildren, we all went and, ate at her favorite restaurant and went to her grave and took her a birthday wreath and Christmas wreaths, and then we went and saw a movie that she would have loved to seen and celebrated her birthday, but it's just not the same. It's definitely a mixture of love and pain that no one should ever have to experience. Um, and it's very complicated, but the thing is that my daughter Ashley knows that we carry out a legacy of, hope. That's what she would want here. And this is why we do this here. It's survivors helping other survivors here at Break the Silence. It's not a bunch of huge government grants. We don't get those. We get very little in corporate sponsorships. We are sustained by the public, and the public has been generous for 14 years to Break the Silence. And especially in the 13 years that I have been here. So we're counting on you. We know that times are tough. We know that survivors need and have a lot of needs. And so here at the organization, that's what this Giving Tuesday is going to be about. We're going to talk about some of our programs. We're going to talk about later on at the end. Definitely, if you can't stay for the whole thing, I would definitely recommend you come back in at 4:00 when we talk about what forgiveness looks like for survivors. We're going to talk about what it looks like for our Children and Holidays of Hope program here shortly. And we're going to do some other segments that we have been doing for a while, give you some glimpses into some of the stuff we're doing. But all of that is nothing without support. And this season has been rough for lots of nonprofits. So we would just want to kind of let you have a preview of exactly what our nonprofit does, the work we actually do, the programs that we supply, to help other survivors who need the help, like I did many years ago when I left my abusive relationship, and also for families like mine as well, who are transitioning into a time that they need, people around them. They need a support system to help them. Children who have lost their parents, through murder and murder-suicide. It's a hard time of year for them. And so that's what Break the Silence is all about. So thank you for letting me share that. Every year on her birthday, it's just a big reminder of what we do to fight for survivors and why this organization exists and why Break the Silence isn't just a slogan, it's a calling, especially for me. So, as we move forward into this Giving Tuesday, Amanda is fixing to join me. If you've seen the podcast here on Amanda, we're going to talk about these children that are surviving without their parents in the Holidays of Hope program. We're going to show you a video, and we'll be right back for that part of our broadcast.
This Christmas, some children are facing their first holiday without a parent. Lost to domestic violence, these little ones are learning what it means when a chair stays empty, when stockings hang unfilled, when the magic of Christmas feels impossibly far away. But you can change that. Through BTS ADV's Holidays of Hope program, your donation becomes more than a gift. It becomes proof that they are still loved, still remembered, still worthy of joy. A teddy bear reminds them of comfort. Art supplies spark creativity that trauma tried to steal. A simple toy whispers what they need to hear most: you matter. These children have lost so much, but they don't have to lose Christmas too. Donate today. Sponsor a child's holiday. Give them the gift of knowing that even in their darkest moment, a community of caring hearts surrounds them. Visit breakthesilencedv.org, because every child deserves to believe in hope again.
Oh, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. And I want to let everybody know that if you donate in the link today that is in the comments and in the broadcast, we do have a donor who's helping to match the donations that are given today on Giving Tuesday through that link. They're matching a certain percentage, and our goal today is to raise 3,000 if possible. So whatever you can do to help and to help us make that match, we would be so grateful for. So now we're going to step into what this program holds and the meaning for our Holidays of Hope program. We're going to go deep into it and talk about it honestly and what these children experience after losing parents to domestic violence, or surviving in a home where violence has shaped their memories. These children carry things most adults never see, and during the holidays those emotions come into a sharp focus for them. So Amanda's here with me for this hour because Amanda has helped with this program for many years. So welcome, Amanda. Oh, we can't hear you.
Well, it would be nice if I would have unmuted myself.
There we go.
Hey, Tara.
Hey. So it's one of the hardest things to witness every year is how children in the domestic violence homes where the major incident occurs, where they have parents have lost their lives or they've gone to jail after losing one parent, and they see these behaviors, right, long before that incident even occurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they see things like, the slammed cabinet that ruins the whole day into an argument. They've seen the fear and witnessed it, most of these children. And they become experts at avoiding conflict. They are experts on hiding how scared they are. And holidays don't change that. If anything, holidays bring more pressure and more grief and more tension because now they have to hide all those feelings from all the adults who are grieving in the room. Right, Amanda?
Oh, yeah. They don't feel that they have a shared space. They feel that it's kind of, again, where they learned in their trauma that the adult emotion is bigger than theirs. It's honored more than theirs. So they need to take their emotion and back down. And grief, if you do not grieve, that will eat you away. And these children are having to deal with that reality because they don't understand it.
No, absolutely. And a lot of times, especially like the older children, especially if there's multiple children in the household, the older children will suppress it in order to help in the raising and taking care of the younger siblings. So they won't ask for much. A lot of times these children don't ask for much, do they, Amanda?
Oh no. Some of those wish lists really humbled me, and sometimes I'd cry when I was looking at them because I'm a mom of 3 and I get my kids' wish list every year, and sometimes we have to have talks that is not a reasonable Christmas list. Would love for it to be, but not. But for some of these kids, they just want socks, loves, sorry, a new bed sheet.
Yeah.
Like, they are so humble, and most of them are teenagers that are that humble.
Uh-huh.
As you said, Tara, like the oldest children are the most humble. They just want outfits, things for school. Like, you won't, like, you would really think like PS4 games, all that fun stuff that a teenager, not as much. Because these kids, essentials are hard. Essentials are harder more for children that come out of trauma and domestic violence. It's not as convenient for them. So for them to have a new pair of socks, like Nike socks or Nike sweatpants, or for a girl to have pretty jacket, those are big deals because sometimes all they get is hand-me-downs and, worn out things, or they have the same socks. And these boys want to play, football, or they want to play sports, and they're getting made fun of in the locker room because they got dirty socks or holey socks. And so they're really just wanting things that as mothers sometimes be like, oh, I buy that new for my kid every month. So yeah.
Well, and lots of these children, they are being taken care for by grandparents or aunts or uncles, and the aunts and uncles have um, their own children they're raising on top of it. So you're talking about this family may have been, family of two that's now a family, with two children, and it's now five children.
Oh yeah.
And or the grandparent is on Social Security disability, and now they've got 3, 4 kids to help raise.
Right.
And it's difficult because the kids, they internalize everything. We know that. The kids internalize everything. Can you imagine having to internalize? And I know, just dealing with the death of my own daughter, what a struggle that can be. I can't imagine with a child, because I have gone through in my head, what if I had done this or done that? These kids are sitting there in their head thinking, what if I had behaved better? What if I didn't ask for anything? What if I wasn't such a burden? Maybe if I didn't ask for that new pair of cleats, mom and dad wouldn't have argued, and it led to this. Would they still be here? Is it my fault? That guilt for these children is real. And it's not something children should have to be burdened with.
No.
And kids are better at hiding those kinds of emotions too. So like we were talking about, they don't want to ask for a whole lot. They would instead just rather kind of sit back in the background because just too much has happened. Too much for them to have to process.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think that, again, as you said, Tara, as an adult, we never want to go through grief. We never want to experience grief, but we do. And as adult, we have a little bit of more life skills, right? A little bit of more maturity in that level for us to be. And sometimes even with having those skills, we can't pull ourselves out and have to and that's okay. But imagine being a child, okay? And even I even watched this with my mother when her mom passed away. She was like turned into a little girl when my grandma passed. Like she did. It was like watching like her, the way she spoke to her when she was passing, and it was watching my mom go from a 50-some-year-old woman to a 12-year-old girl, and grieving her mommy at that moment. It wasn't her mom. It wasn't my grandmother. That was her mommy. So can you imagine being 5, 6, 17? I mean, and your mom, your safety net, because let's think about this. These children, their moms, they're guiding light in that domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
She's gone. Mm-hmm. She's gone. So safety's gone. And now they're stuck on this earth. And if their father is still living after this situation, there's anger and resentment towards there's that parent still alive. And I'm with these people.
Yes.
Safe.
Mm-hmm.
They feel they're being punished.
Right. Yes, and that feeling is real. And then you put in the complexity of it, like they loved the parent who passed, but the other parent may not have taken themselves out in the scenario. They may be in prison, but they loved that other parent as well.
Absolutely.
And to have to struggle with the feelings of that, that they loved this person, and yet this person took my other parent away too. They're both my parents, and they struggle with their own identity. As a child dealing with that, they lose their identity.
Absolutely, because they feel bad. they feel that there's something wrong for also loving that other parent who has caused these issues. And if you think about it too, Tara, there's going to be two different family dynamics feeling sort of way. So
Mhm.
they might really love both sets of grandparents, but now both sets of grandparents really don't like each other. And they're being raised and they're hearing one grandparent talk horribly of and because these grandparents are hurt and mad that their daughter's gone and they're talking about their father or the father, parents are raising them while the father is either incarcerated or gone, or, vice versa, where it happens, where it flips and it's the mother who's incarcerated and the father's gone. Regardless, it's going to be a family against a family, and a child is going to feel in the middle of this war because they are a product of both parents, not one, both.
Mhm.
And it's going to be hard for them because they need stability, but these parents are going to be grieving. They're good. Everybody is in grief, and it really affects these children more than I even think these parents can understand. Because Terry, as you said, like they just lost a child themselves. They
Yes.
lost their child themselves in a horrendous way. There is no handbook given to you when you have your child. They tell you all these things, right, Tara? Like when you have your baby, they give you all this stuff. Like you're just sitting there,
Oh, yeah.
even like things you need to know. They don't tell you this,
Mm-mm. No.
or how you're going to react, or how
Mm.
you're going to raise a child after, or how you're going to have to push past your grieving to take care of this child and go through these court dates and protect it. It's a lot. And these kids, again, as you said, Tara, they're just sitting there in the background, kind of watching it
Mhm.
happen.
And they're having to grow up so fast. Because of this, it makes them grow up so fast. And like we were saying before, they don't think about toys.
Mm-mm.
A lot of them just are wanting clothes. They don't think about the holidays the same ever again as other kids do.
No, they do not.
They think about safety, they think about stability, they think about survival, and that's why we do this program, because kids deserve a moment to have their childhood back. These kids have had their childhood stripped from them, and people don't realize how much it just takes away from their little souls.
I mean, we've had kids say, I don't want gifts for Christmas. I
Mhm.
just want to stop feeling scared.
Yeah.
I wish my mom was here to
Mhm.
open it with me.
Yeah, I've heard from family members over the years that, the littler ones, all they ask all the time, when is mom coming home? When is dad coming home? And trying to convey those answers. And then on top of it, to have to tell these kids that they can't hardly afford anything for the holidays. We we don't want that to happen.
No,
So that's why, like I said, part of why we're letting everyone know we definitely need sponsors for these children. We're hoping to raise enough money yearly. We usually raise enough money. We had one year that we didn't quite make our goals, but we still made sure all the kids got something. But usually about $100 per child. Um, and we order through Amazon and send those gifts to those children directly. So if you can help sponsor a child, it doesn't have to be $100. It can be $5. It can be $10. That adds up, and we can help provide, you know, something that can help these children feel like kids again, feel like there's hope again. Right, Amanda?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's so important this time of the year just for them to at least have something to make them know that there's still people out there that understand their story and that they're still being heard and they're not forgotten and their parents aren't forgotten.
Mhm. Right, because for these kids, nothing is normal anymore. I mean, I'm an adult, and it's been 13 years, and nothing's normal anymore. I can't imagine dealing with that as a child. Um, you know, and it's hard to say that no. I know a toy is not going to bring them back to a normal Christmas. I know that, but to have nothing, or what they do get is socks because that's what the grandparent can afford and that's what they need, and they don't get to have a part of that childhood back for them, for me is very heartbreaking. So, Amanda, tell me, like some of these, let's talk about, so people out there know the kind of happy side of Holidays of Hope, what it has looked like for the families supported, what we've seen as reactions over the years, maybe.
So we had one little boy who loved dinosaurs, and his only request, as we were talking bed sheets, was dinosaur sheets. Um, and that was his whole Christmas list. Like literally, he was so happy just to have his own bed sheets.
Hmm.
Um, so that was one of the wonderful stories that we've had from some of our feedback from families. We've also had um, certain families, such as
Well, as I recall, the one who wanted the dinosaur bed sheets also, I mean, we ended up sending them a whole bunch of dinosaur stuff. We
yeah.
didn't.
Oh, yes, and I didn't clarify that right.
Yes,
The
we.
whole room, like we did, like the whole room was redone. Like all he wanted was the bed sheets. I'm sorry. After I said that, I was like, I was making it out like he just got bed sheets. No, it was like a whole makeover of like, it was kind of, what was that show in the 90s where they come and flip your house and they would do the kids' room and they'd ask them what they wanted and the kids would be like, I like baseball. And then
Yeah.
they go in and like baseball, baseball. That's basically what that dinosaur bed sheet.
Yes, we ended up with so many sponsors for him that year. There was dinosaur everything.
Everything. It was
Yes,
awesome. Yes.
yes, it was really awesome.
Yes. So yeah, that was one of the nice stories because people really do love that, and we have some wonderful sponsors who come in and will shop for these kids, and they'll get really into their theme. And I've seen some really like awesome things they've ordered because they love to just again give these kids the best of what they can get at that time, even if it's something little. They are so appreciative. So
Hmm. No, it's great. And then like I know there was one teen girl that what she wanted was a journal, and she was using that journal to write letters to her mom and to kind of write through her experiences, of missing her mom, basically writing down her grief
right.
on how she would deal with that.
Mhm.
And that's all she wanted,
Right.
and she didn't want to, I remember the grandma talking about how this particular like young lady would not talk to the therapist. Absolutely would not talk to a therapist. I would just sit there and stare at the therapist for a whole hour, and not say anything. But that journal opened a whole door for her to be able to express herself, to open the door for the grandma to be able to talk to her.
Yes,
And yeah.
I remember that. We actually made sure that not only did she get plenty of stuff that she needed to journal, we gave her comfort things, kind of like what would make her feel really good and comfortable and safe in that moment. Warm clothes, blankets, little coffee mug, stuff like that. That we were able to give her that little space of her own time. That when she had that time and she wanted to open up, she felt safe in that space. So we were really excited to do that because I think that is very important, as you said, Tara, because I feel like some of these children, they don't have a lot of control over their reality, right? They don't have
Right.
control of what happened to mom. They don't have control of how dad hurt mom or how mom hurt or dad or anything in that sorts. But they do have control of stuff like, I don't want to talk to that therapist, right? So, and that's what she was doing. She was flexing her control muscle.
Yes.
But her grandmother was able to see there was something else of a resource and an outlet, and we were able to give her that outlet that was good for her, but also able to her to start a good healing path. So again, guys, this isn't just something, we are giving them gifts of something that they're going to use and go away. This is something that is meaningful to them in their healing journey more than what we're
Yes, because they
understanding.
usually ask for things that are meaningful to them. It
Yeah.
isn't just a wish
Yeah.
list like your normal child would have. And we see that all the time, Amanda. I know, like on the wish lists, um, many years I have looked at them and cried and thought, "Is this all that baby want?" Because we tell them, make an Amazon wish list, right?
Yes.
And we've had to actually go back in and tell grandparents and aunts and stuff because only one thing will be listed, and we're like, "No, put get the children only want one thing," and you're like, "No, like imagine a whole lot," you know?
Right.
Well,
Right. I mean, we've had to go in and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't know, just go ahead and fill what you feel need." And we are like adding more. We're like, "Take it." I do. I remember that a lot because
yeah,
again,
the one little girl wanted like a baby doll, and we ended up like just putting in there like a stroller and a little crib for the baby doll and clothes and stuff because we were all like, yeah, just a baby doll, but that, they don't. Some of these children can't even imagine any further. And normal kids would make, like, a whole big list, they'd have a laundry list. And
mhm.
so we see that a lot. That's the thing that has surprised me over the years
Mhm.
is, like, I'd say about a third of the kids will only ask for, one thing in the list, and they're like, "That's the only thing they picked out." And we're like, "Well, tell them to pick out we can't provide everything, but pick out the kit and caboodle so we have, the options to purchase from." And Um, just some of these kids they're just grateful for the one thing. So we try to provide so much more.
We really do. We really do. And honestly, there was this one moment I honestly will never forget. It was a teenage boy, and he said, "I really don't want something for myself. I just want stuff for my sister. She's been crying a lot, and I just want to see her happy again."
Mhm.
So, as you said, Tara, these older children are taking on a lot for their younger siblings as well. Some are different personalities. One's more empathetic and more emotionally showing, and then there's the one that's holding together and trying to hold on for the other siblings. And in this case, it was just this child, even he was willing to sacrifice and be like, if my sister can get more presents, then take me off the list and I won't get any because she
Right.
has so upset that I want this to basically make her feel like she's the center of attention. She's important in this moment. What a selfless thing. I mean, especially for a teenage boy, because as adults, there's many of people, even their own parent couldn't do that. So for a child to do that, and again, that shows that this child has been through a lot, and that this child will selflessly have to give up things that should become to him so naturally just because he's a child, and it
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't because he's had, and this is a child that's learned through sacrifice. I'm sure in the
Mhm.
past, and it's just sometimes nice for us to go, no, 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 honey, your sister will get good stuff. So we, don't worry, we got you both. Because he might have grew up Tara, and I can assume that there was times where there was only enough for one child or only enough for this, and he became accommodating to make sure that they were taken care of.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because these kids just carry the world on their shoulders. It's unfathomable. Um, like I said, I can understand it to a point, but I can't understand it from the eyes of or perspective of a child.
You know,
And there those lists are like I said, there's so many, like, just one girl wanted just a blanket. That's all she wanted was just a blanket. And, I believe that year with her, she ended up we got not only a blanket, but she was like a 14, I wanna say 13, 14,
mhm.
and, we did a whole thing of, like, makeup, like spa. kind of thing, the makeup and the nail sets and that kind of stuff for her because um, we couldn't imagine just sending a blanket. Uh, but yeah, these families are just they're struggling. They're struggling financially. And I know lots of people are out there struggling financially right now. Absolutely. But if you do have the means, that's what we're asking for. And like I said, we do have, definitely if you can contribute, we do have somebody who's, matching a percentage of what we raised today. So please help us make that effort, especially for these children this Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, again, these families aren't just grieving, they're struggling financially, emotionally, mentally. I mean, and again, they're taking on these children, but sometimes they're going through court dates and
Yes.
lawsuits and things that they're having to pay out of their own pockets. They aren't even maybe even having the time to grieve yet, and they're on survival mode. And as Tara said, financial stuff is hard for all of us right now. So it is a blessing to be able to give these families one thing this holiday that they do not have to stress about, and that these children won't have to feel the weight of that stress, because we know the kids can feel it too. And we don't want them to feel like they're another burden, because they're already feeling lost and upset, and they're not a burden. But children internalize. And if they see that the family member that is taking them on is struggling just to take care of them, and then Christmas comes and they feel that's another burden for them, this child's gonna really struggle.
No, absolutely they are. Amanda, I think we had a comment. Did we want to
Sure, let me go ahead.
put the comments? Lionel, thank you for being here.
Yeah, Lionel, thanks. Here, I'll go ahead and show it. It's ironic, but like that, such kids grow up fast because it means the kids are in line. We got another level we wouldn't if they had just been kids. It's sad that they don't have a childhood, but there's comfort and fellowship. Besides survivors that have similar needs for softness and comfort, which is easily and happily shared, just making something good out of something bad.
Yeah, and that's really all we can do. We try to provide something good in their world because the worst case has happened. You can't think of any worse case to lose a child or to lose a parent when you're little. Those are the kinds of things that haunt people forever. Believe me. I would love for like anybody who's watching, listening, if you want to honor a loved one you've lost to domestic violence, drop their name in the comments because we would love to read those names out in this segment and honor them. Because like I said when we started this podcast, I honored Ashley. I would love to honor any family member that you had lost in that way if you're watching, and share something that was wonderful about them. We would like that when we met Amanda.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you want to go ahead and sponsor a child for Holidays of Hope, type sponsor in the comments and we will get back to you with some information and details on how you can do so.
Yeah. So I know that I was just kind of talking like just a little bit from your experience, Amanda, because I know we got a little bit more time in this segment. Just as a survivor from your level with the holidays, um, what kind of struggles did you have personally?
I grieved it. I didn't like it. And it was hard because I was grieving two separate things. I was grieving a life that I had for over 10 years of raising my children and sharing that with someone who I thought was a real person in that moment and was not being real. But it also was losing that love for the holiday I had from the time I was a little girl.
Mhm.
Um, I loved it. I loved Christmas. I was such, oh, it was so annoying. Even when I met my abuser, like the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas music was just on. There was,
Mhm.
just big, I mean, big reactions. And then I slowly started finding that over the years, I wanted to do nothing. Like it grieved me like an ex-boyfriend. Like it was something that if it came around, I'd get emotional. There were certain like holiday songs that got me emotional.
Yeah.
Um, it would take me forever to put decorations up or even to put a tree up. And then I really, with three kids, I had to force myself because I'm like, this is not about me. This is them. But even as a single mother, it was really even hard to feel safe on the holidays. Like I can enjoy it because holidays were such an like mixed bag. Like, and I didn't realize it until years later, but he was like subconsciously just trash them for no reason, like start fights. Like I remember it was Christmas morning. He had his parents there and he started a fight over something that happened in our relationship 10 years ago. And I was just like, did you just pick in a bag this morning to see what you wanted to fight about? Because it was so random. So when I was even starting to go back into the holidays with my family and doing old traditions, I didn't feel right being there. I felt like I couldn't enjoy it, that I had to be like on guard. And
Mhm.
because my body was just not, it was not regulating. It was not realizing we're safe. It was like, oh, here we are with this other Christmas, and we got to be on alert. It's a holiday,
Mhm.
and I think that happens a lot. And it's hard because you get so upset. Because I mean, I'm about 9 years out, and there's times where I'm like, I don't want to this to affect me anymore. I don't want to, but you do. You still carry that year to year, and it's not that because you're missing them or particularly grieving that relationship anymore. It's the effect that it had on that holiday, and
Mhm.
the way it changed. It changed
Yes.
for you, and people, and even family. Like I think my family didn't understand because they never been through how it changed it for me and how holidays are like I'm the first to leave and the last to get there. And people never like you know what I mean? And I was never that way. I was the wanting to be there, but it's just sometimes it's the dynamic that changed. And I'm sure you understand that too, Tara. Like it's just
Oh, yeah, I understand from that level, and just personally, my own story, like, um, till I was 6, we celebrated the holidays, but then my mother, entered in a religion where they didn't celebrate holidays, and I remember as a child that was very traumatic to not have gifts under the tree, to not have a tree anymore, anything like that, and then go over to my grandparents, and they'd have this big, beautiful tree, and I'd sit there for hours staring at that tree, and then when I, got older, at 15, moved in with my grandparents and started celebrating holidays again, um, and became an adult, my grandparents gave me all those Christmas decorations. So for me, Christmas has always been like Ashley used to say that Christmas threw up at our house. My house does look like Christmas. The yard is all done up out there. You should see my yard. And the house is all done up. But I'll tell you, the year I lost Ashley, it was very hard to put those decorations up. But the thing that made me do it was that Ashley always used to joke about with all her friends. Mom put so many lights up on the house and outside that NASA guides the space shuttle in through my mom's house since we live here in Texas. So she goes, "Yeah, that mom's house is part of the signal to guide the space shuttle in." And I thought, yeah, I want her to be up in heaven going, "Yep, see that place right there? That's my mom's house." You can see it from here,
yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
she
and it made me do it. And I couldn't, I mean, I'm sure this is what some of these families are struggling with, these aunts and uncles and parents, because, Ashley, I lost the grandbaby too. She was carrying. I didn't have any, unfortunately, children that she had already given birth to, but I had a daughter, and, um, you know, she was engaged and he had children, and I had been buying for those children before. That Christmas, I couldn't even. I'm the person who has like half a Christmas bought by August. Usually by the end of October, it's done. And I literally 3 days before Christmas looked at my husband and went, I haven't bought anything. I don't have anything for anybody. I couldn't bring myself to even go out shopping. He literally took me by the hand and lovingly and gently took me out Christmas Eve and went with me for hours to help me carry that burden, because it's usually just me. I found such joy in it. And I could not find the joy in it, that I was to a point of, there we were on Christmas Eve trying to buy presents for everybody because I was struggling. I couldn't hardly. The times I tried, the Christmas music would be playing and I would hear I'll be home for Christmas,
Yeah, I can't.
and I would leave. I'd
Right.
leave the store. I'd walk into the Walmart, and unfortunately, I know most Walmarts are like this across the country. You walk into that one door, and there's the young women's section, food on one side and young women's on the other. And
Mhm.
I see that young women's section of clothing, and I just turn around and leave and bawl. I'd stand and bawl in front of the string cheese.
I have
Because
cried.
every time Ashley went to the store with me, she'd ask for string cheese and eat it as we were leaving the store. I could not do it. I could not function.
Yes.
And that's what some of these families are dealing with as well. On the flip side, these grandparents, these aunts and stuff, they're still dealing with their own grief. So if we can be helpful on top of the finances, on top of I remember how big a struggle that was that first year for me to just even, and I enjoyed it. I could never imagine in my life not being out there in the middle. I mean, I'm the person that the minute Christmas hits the aisles, even in August, I'm singing Christmas songs. I'm just like, you know, and I know the first few years that was a no go, but especially that first year, I couldn't even do it. Uh-uh. And that's the kind of burden they're carrying, that we're hoping that everyone who's listening to about our Holidays of Hope program today and this Giving Tuesday marathon, if you can generously help us by contributing to the program. We sure would appreciate it. Our goal again is $3,000. And we do have someone who is matching a percentage of that. So we're hoping to get as much, but it's only today. So whatever you can do today, the matching is today. If you can't do it today, that's great. The links will still be up there, to help out later.
Mhm.
But whatever we can try to do today, we do have a matching percentage donor out there who's going to help us. So, so did we have anybody again? Did anybody want to share their loved one that's listening that we could honor them? If not, if you don't do it this segment and you want to do it later, that's great. We'll still mention them through the podcast as we go on through our marathon today.
Yep, absolutely. I will keep an eye on the comments.
Yes, absolutely. So we want to show you, Amanda, exactly where their support goes, right?
Yeah,
And the impact it makes. So, as we close talking about the Holidays of Hope, um, Holidays of Hope is more than a gift. It's healing, it's dignity, right? It's moments of peace in a sea of grief, and it's giving a child one memory that doesn't hurt. Right, Amanda?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and your generosity makes that possible. So we want to thank you for honoring these families with us. We're going to continue our marathon, but this hour, this is the heart of why we are here. So Um, we're going to thank you for staying with us, but we're going to keep this Giving Tuesday marathon rolling. But I'm fixing to step out for a little bit for just a few minutes and grab a little break. And while I'm off screen, I'm going to turn this part over to Amanda, who's actually going to talk to you about volunteerism here at Break the Silence. Amanda knows firsthand how important our volunteers are, and she's going to walk you through some of her story and ways that you can plug into this work. So, Amanda, I think she's going to roll a volunteer video and then be right back and talk to you about volunteering here at Break the Silence.
Yes, absolutely. And let's get into the clip, and then I will be back to talk some more, guys.
Thank y'all. I'll be back.
At BTSADV, every survivor deserves to feel seen, supported, and safe. But we can't do this work alone. When you volunteer with BTSADV, you're not just giving your time, you're giving hope. Hope to survivors rebuilding their lives. Hope to children who've lost a parent to domestic violence. Hope to families healing after trauma. We have volunteer opportunities for every skill set. Support line volunteers who answer calls with compassion. Graphics creators who build our educational posts and campaigns. Editors who turn podcasts into powerful short-form videos. Social engagement volunteers who help keep our pages safe. Podcast moderators who guide conversation and protect survivors live. Website editors who help publish survivor stories and resources. And video reel creators who bring awareness to millions. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need special degrees. You just need a willingness to show up with courage and empathy. We train you. We support you. We walk with you every step of the way. If you've ever wanted to make a difference,
Hi, everybody. It's Amanda, and I wanted to talk about something with you guys. Before I ever became staff, I started out as a volunteer for BTSADV, trying to help out in any which way I could. And at the time, I didn't know if I had enough time or the skills, or even if my skills were just good enough. I just knew I wanted to be a part of the mission, and it mattered. So I jumped in, and little bit by little bit, I took on some more. I learned more about the organization, got comfortable, and learned that they were more like family to me. So when we say volunteers are the backbone of BTSADV, that's just not saying something to put on a graphic, right? It's the truth. None of it happens without the people who raised their hand and said, we want to help. Because in all honesty, we wouldn't be here today without them, because that is why it's so important. So if you want ever to help survivors, whether you're a survivor yourself or know a survivor, but you're not sure if you would fit in, let me walk you through some ways we need your help right now. So first is our support line volunteers. Our support line volunteers, they are going to be doing one of the most important things in our volunteer teams. Our volunteers cover shifts, answer calls from survivors, offer emotional support, validation, and resources. You don't have to be a therapist. We will train you, give you guidance. We will never leave you stranded. If you have a calm and steady heart and you care about people, this might be where you need to be. So for our graphics team, this is someone that would like working in Canva, designing media posts. Our graphics team is always busy. So they would create campaign graphics, holiday content, awareness posts, and podcasts and live shows promos, just like what we have going on today. You don't have to be a pro designer, just someone who's willing to learn and create consistently. Opus Clips and Video Clip team. We use Opus Clips and other tools to cut our longer podcasts into live shorts that we can go ahead and put on our platforms. If you're someone who's enjoys editing or even selecting the best moments out of a video and clipping them down, that would be a big, huge help here. These shorts clips are how we reach new survivors who's never heard about BTSADV before. And then our next team is the social media engagement team. If you're already on Facebook and Instagram, then you're already halfway there. You would help reply to comments, respond to DMs following our guidelines, hide and report harmful content, engage with our community survivors to feel seen and heard instead of shouting into a void. And you're basically helping us keep our pages safe and supportive and active. Then our next team is our podcast moderation. When we go live, like we are right now with our podcast, our events, we need people in the comments helping moderating. That would look like welcoming people that join, watching for trolls or abusive comments, dropping important links and our mentions, helping survivors feel safe and share while we are live. If you like being the mix during the live, and this is something that would be in your lane. Website editors, blogs, survivor stories. We also need help on the back end of our website. If you're comfortable working on a website editor or you're willing to learn, you can help with uploading blogs, format, post survivor stories, and make sure things are laid out clean and easy to read. You don't have to write blogs. Just help us get them out on the site looking good, and that keeps our content current and accessible. And then our next team position is video. I was trying to mix those words. Video reel creators for Instagram and Facebook. If you love reels, and this one might be for you. We need people who can take our campaigns and messages, turn them into short reels, and for Instagram and Facebook, and use text, clips, and music to tell the story for about 30 to 60 seconds. These reels are often the first contact some people have with BTS ADV. And so this is very incredibly powerful to do. Okay, this is the part. I'm almost all through these roles from home you can do on your time where you are. Even if you're listening and you're thinking, I can't do that, or I want to help, I just don't know where, go ahead and comment volunteer in the chat. We will follow up with you. We'll send you info and help you find the spot that fits best for where you feel your schedule, your skills, and your heart lies. Whether you get a few hours a month or just a few hours a week, it makes a difference. Thank you for spending this time with me. And thank you for our current, I want to thank our current volunteers. You make this mission possible. And Tara's going to be back with us in just a minute as we head into our next Giving Tuesday live marathon. Thank you guys for joining me, and we are going to go ahead and go over to Tara.
Okay. Well, Amanda, come back a minute for me. So, Amanda, come back in a minute for me. So,
Come back.
Okay. So, just a few questions because I know we're running a little ahead of schedule. So, I don't want to run too ahead of schedule before we have Lauren here at the end. But, as a volunteer, I would love for you to tell the people, where you started as a volunteer, what that process was like for you, where you volunteered at.
Okay, so absolutely. I don't mind telling that story at all. I started actually with what was a program we had called Legacy Families. And this was for families, as we were just speaking about at the beginning of Holidays of Hope, who lost a loved one to domestic violence. So I came in shortly before the Holidays of Hope program. I was able to go in and work with families. We have a My Keeper memorial space that we offer to families who lost a loved one. And I started off helping there, working with their stories and making sure that the families that wanted to have stories about their loved ones but didn't want to write them for their memorial page, I would go ahead and be the writer for them, taking the content that they would give us from pictures to news articles and making sure that their story on the page was authentic but honorable to who they were. And then I kind of dived headfirst into Holidays of Hope within a couple months. So I started off in BTS ADV with my first program was Holidays of Hope. So it's a very, very one of my favorite programs that BTS ADV has done because I've personally seen how it's grown over the years and how it's helped so many families.
Yes, yes, and she was just so amazing at all that, we had to hire her.
I,
We're just
I just,
saying.
and it was so funny because I was like, I just love doing these spreadsheets, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, you did so wonderful." I was like, "Oh, I just love doing
Yes.
the spreadsheet." But it was so honoring to be able, Tara, at the beginning, coming in as a survivor, and I always talk about this. Um, I think we all have that survivor's guilt when we hear these stories. We talk about survivor's guilt of people who are in car crashes together, and someone survived and someone didn't. But I feel like in domestic violence, if we are reading, or we sometimes don't understand why, right? And I think me and you've talked about it several times where I've said it's very hard for me to understand why I'm here and these other women, especially when I was doing this story so much and hearing how the similarities of the abuse they had and my abuse and how I was able to, but then I was able to take that and to make it in so much of like, okay, I'm going to stop feeling that survivor's guilt and take the importance that the reason I'm still here is to help the mission that they could not help carry out themselves. And if I would have lived on this earth and not done something to honor why I'm still here, and that's why we show up. That is one of the heart of BTS ADV. And when I started, it was because not to basically glorify my mission. It was to speak for the people that I knew that weren't able to speak for themselves. So the people out there actively in abuse who could not get the help, who are not being heard, who are not being treated right in the system, that don't have a family support, who have ran and knocked on doors and have not had them opened and been ignored and had to sleep on the street or hide in their vehicles or, be thrown out with half their clothes on because, of certain incidents of violence. And I think that's why we're here. And I know that when we think of volunteering, we always think that we have to be a certain good at a skill. You don't. Me and Tara both will tell you we've learned a lot on our own in this organization of just working together as a team and working and doing trainings. But sometimes it's really nice when you have people in the background willing to teach you, and that's what we do here. We don't bring volunteers in and hope that you guys will be the best that you can be, and that if you're not, you're gone. It's not a job. We definitely will bring you in and train you and hope that, as long as you're willing, we're willing as well. And the hope that you will just find your heart and your mission. And we always tell people that sometimes you find skills you don't even know you're good at. Because sometimes when your heart's in it, it's a whole different kind of way of learning things.
Yes.
But again, if you guys are located in the United States or Canada, 18 and over, we do require you guys to be a year out of your domestic violence relationship.
Mhm.
We do require that you guys have reliable internet. Either have a home or phone computer, because we need a computer, but we also mentioned having a phone because, again, with this being remote, we all have to have some kind of communication. But if you guys are interested, please, again, as I said earlier, put volunteer in the comments and we will reach out and get you set up personally, because we want you to feel that we are personally bringing you in and you're just not a number in the crowd.
No, absolutely. And here in a minute when I go into the next segment, just me, you'll populate that link over into the
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
Yes, because we would love for you to join our team. I mean, I did not start as CEO of anything. I started with this organization was about 500 people on Facebook from the founder at the time, and I came in to volunteer because I needed a community after my daughter's death, and I found that community here. And so now I've been here 13 years, and I have volunteered in every way possible and moved up the volunteer ladder to where I was the head of the board of directors and now the CEO. So we love to say this organization is survivors supporting other survivors. So that's the majority of the work, from a board of directors to our volunteers to our staff. So if you're looking to volunteer in a meaningful way, that you are involved in community, that's what we do here. So Um, Anything else you wanted to say about volunteering before we do move on to the
No, again, we definitely just, even if you're a little hesitant, we do have a volunteer session that we hold every Monday and Thursday. Monday is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thursday is at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And if you are just kind of like, hey, I'm still not 100% sure, but I would still love to hear it, learn more, we encourage you to apply and join. And if you come into this volunteer session and you're like, this date for me, that's fine. But at least just give it a shot, hear what we have to say. We always are happy to answer questions to make you feel comfortable. But yeah, we definitely would love for you to share your heart and mission with us. So yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you, Amanda, for being here with us and talking about volunteerism. All right, everyone. All right, everyone. We're going to move on. Amanda cut me out. I'm back. Okay. That's good. You'd probably rather see Amanda than me anyway. You guys see way too much of me, I'm sure. But we're going to move on into what we call our Survivor to Survivor segment. So if you have not seen what we do on Fridays, here we have a segment called Survivor to Survivor where we take real questions through your emails from survivors and kind of walk through them together. We wanted to kind of do that here for a little bit because I've had some other emails come in and stuff, and just doing it once a week doesn't always take up enough time for them all. So sometimes the chat is super active and sometimes it's kind of quiet. Either one is completely okay, but I want to encourage you today, if something resonates with you as we do this segment, if you have your own advice as a survivor or experience that could help somebody that we're reading their email today, drop it definitely in the comments, because survivors learn from other survivors. That's one thing definitely I have learned throughout the years, and your voice matters just as much as mine. So please feel free to give your opinions, your thoughts, your advice into the comment section for the emails that we're going to go through. I think I have 3 of them here that we're going to do together just through the marathon here. And even if you have your own question that you would like answered, populate that in there for us. So anyway, we'll get started right now. This is Survivor to Survivor. So the email I have here, the subject is, why do I still blame myself? And it says, hi, Tara. I've been out of my relationship for a little over a year now. Everyone keeps telling me how strong I am for finally leaving. But all I can think about is why I didn't leave sooner. Definitely, a lot of us felt that. There was so many red flags, the screaming, the walls being punched, insults, the control, and eventually the pushing, grabbing, and the threats. He isolated me from my family, took over the money, and convinced me that no one else would ever want me. I had chances to go, and every time I stayed. But part of me was terrified. Today, part of me still loves who he was in the beginning, and that part of me believed it was my fault. If you could just be calmer or better, he wouldn't explode, is what I thought. Now that I'm out, I keep thinking if I had left earlier, maybe it wouldn't have gotten that bad. I feel ashamed when people call me survivor because I stayed too long. How do I stop blaming myself? I want to thank the person who sent this in. We're keeping them anonymous. for trusting us with your story, because I know it's very hard to send in and admit some of those facts, because I felt that same way for a very long time. I stayed way too long. I blamed myself. And I just want you to hear me clearly. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were definitely surviving, just like the rest of us. Abusers they don't start with violence, right? They start with charm. By the time you start to figure that out, their mask is starting to slip, right? You're isolated, you're trauma bonded, you're totally depleted of any kind of energy or self-worth, and you're scared. Every decision you made inside that relationship was made in survival mode. And you were definitely not free during that time. You're looking back now with clarity, and you didn't have access to that during that time because of your circumstances. You left, and you had the strength to leave, and some support to finally break free. That's what you fought for. All of us survivors fight like hell to get to this point. Now I want to bring the community in here. If you're watching and you relate to this, definitely drop something in the comments. What helped you stop blaming yourself? In your words. Your words tonight may be exactly what someone else needs to hear. So we thank the person who sent this email in for sure. Here in the community, if anybody has anything they want to add to that, please do. We'll read that advice out loud, or we can, the person who wrote in may see this and be able to read it later. So I don't see any comments, so we're going to move on. I'm going to do our next email that I had. Let's see. The subject was, they still invite him to family events. Oh, man. These are the ones I really love. Hey, Tara. I left my abusive husband 2 years ago. I thought the hardest part would be starting over, but I was wrong. The hardest part has been realizing how many people in my own family still support him. They say things like, well, he never treated us that way, or we don't want to take sides, or he's still the father of your kids. They invited him to the holidays. They talk to him on social media. Some even tell me that I am being dramatic or trying to ruin his life. This feels like a betrayal. How do I deal with my own family choosing what's comfortable over what's right? And it's signed by Jay. Ooh, that is one I would not want to be in the shoes, because it's deeply painful. And Jay, I'm deeply sorry, because this is a pain that hits definitely very differently. It's one thing to survive the abuse, but it's another thing to live in the aftermath, right? When people should protect you and choose you, they are instead choosing convenience over courage. The convenience of keeping their happy family lives the way they had it before, instead of the courage to say no and take a stand. Their interaction is not a reflection of your truth. I'll say that. It's a reflection of their comfort level, or their inability to be uncomfortable we should say, the way they want to deny things. Their fear of disrupting that whole family dynamic. You're allowed to have boundaries. Definitely allow yourself to set those boundaries. Make the boundaries clear and then stand by them. And if that means you need to leave early, then leave early. If that means you don't need to go at all, then don't go at all. But you are allowed to distance yourself. And you're allowed to protect your peace, even from your own family if need be. A lot of times family just need to know exactly where they stand. They're going to make those choices. You can't control that. All you can do is control the choices you're going to make that are effective from what they have, set as the standard. So stand your ground. And for those who are watching, if you've dealt with this, definitely did your family take the abuser's side? If you feel comfortable, share how you handled it in here for Jay, or what you wish someone would have told you about that kind of thing. Your experience may be helpful for somebody else about how they're feeling so they don't feel so alone. So please, express those in the comments for Jay here. This is one of the greatest things I do love about the Survivor to Survivor segment is being able to express from another survivor's point of view what you have been through. So, okay, let me see here. Definitely looks like we have time for another one. So let's go into this email here. Subject, I left, but he's still everywhere online. Ooh, online. I hate that online stuff. That was a huge part of what we had to deal with when my daughter left. So it says, hi, Survivor to Survivor. I finally left my abusive relationship 6 months ago. I moved, changed my number, and blocked him on everything. But he still finds me. He watches my stories from fake accounts. He messages my friends asking about me. He comments on posts from places I check into. I feel hunted. People say, at least he's not hitting you anymore. But my anxiety is off the charts. Yeah. How do I deal with this stalking and ever feel safe again? Well, you are definitely describing stalking. This is definitely a stalker. And stalking is abuse. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. It's illegal. So yes, it's abusive. Here are some things you can do that will help you. Definitely document everything. Document. Times, dates, where, people, places, things, the social media accounts, timestamps. You can screenshot them. Keep a folder active. Lock down your privacy on all your social medias for sure. And let everybody else know who are within your inner circle to not give out your information. If you need to, scale back all your friends on social media to only trusted people. Change your passwords, definitely. Stop posting locations in real time. So if you're going to be if you're at a restaurant, don't post from the restaurant. You can post later on after you're home or the next day. That way they don't have your location in real time. Tell someone close to you so you don't carry this alone. They can help you. You can create a safety plan, safe words. Check with work if you need to institute a safety plan there, or the type of what they have in place as far as protocol to help keep you safe. Check with a local advocate who can help you. Your fear is not drama. Okay, it's not irrational. It's not your nervous system responding to ongoing intrusion for someone who may harm you. It is actually a response from your nervous system that is helping to keep you safe. It's not just that mere, it's just reacting. It's an actual full-blown, what's the word I'm looking for here? Well, it's a type of trauma response, but it's often, it's a safety mechanism that your body is giving you. So listen to those signals. Trust what your gut is telling you. And I want to open this up to the community again. If you've dealt with digital stalking, what helped you feel safer? Even small steps can be a huge difference for someone listening right now. So please put that in the comments. We would love to hear from y'all. So wonderful. I want to thank y'all. So like I said before, that's the end of this segment here. To the survivors who wrote these emails and the ones quietly relating, thank you for trusting us. The Survivor to Survivor segment, like I said, if you have not seen it, follow us, definitely. It drops every Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you have something that you would like to write into us about, a question, an email, you can send that in to podcast@breakthesilencedv.org. I would love to hear from you. We will keep you anonymous, like you have seen here with these segments we did today. We want to thank you for completely being here and supporting the community, helping to support other survivors. This is what Survivor to Survivor is all about. So I want to encourage the community to not only watch those episodes, but share them, because someone out there, you as a survivor may know the answer to those questions, and that's great. We want you to come in on Fridays and help give your responses, but also by sharing those Survivor to Survivors, there are people out there who are experiencing this who don't know what this is, that question whether or not certain things are abusive or how to go about leaving or things like that. And that's what these segments help do. So the more you're able to share that, you're helping other people out there get their questions answered, questions that they may not be willing to ask you or their family members or the community. So we thank you for sharing that. They're real voices. They get real support, real connection here. If you're watching this later and want to submit your story, definitely submit that in to us. And let's keep this marathon moving. So we're fixing to talk to you about our programs. And Amanda's going to play a short video for you, and we'll be right back.
Every day, survivors and children impacted by domestic violence turn to us searching for hope, safety, and healing. At BTSADV, we support survivors with programs that touch every part of their healing journey, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Your support fuels Holidays of Hope, providing Christmas for children who've lost a parent to domestic violence. Our support line, a compassionate, survivor-centered resource, operating 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. Sister Survivor Retreats, safe spaces where women rebuild confidence, rest, and community. Grants of Hope scholarships, helping survivors rebuild their future through education and stability. Run for her uniting survivors and supporters to honor those we've lost and empower those still fighting. Survivor to Survivor, support daily encouragement, resources, and emotional guidance. Awareness and prevention outreach that reaches millions online. And our podcast, Through the Eyes of Survivors, amplifying real stories and education. When you donate to BTSADV, you're not giving to a large corporation or a faceless machine. You're directly impacting families in crisis. You're helping a survivor make a safety plan. You're helping a grieving child feel seen at Christmas. You're helping a woman find her voice at our retreats. If you believe in healing, hope, and ending the silence, join us. Your donation, big or small, fuels life-changing programs for survivors and their children. Stand with us. Support this mission. Help us change lives one survivor at a time. BTSADV, where healing begins and hope lives. Every day, survivors and...
All right. And we are back. So, this part of our program, we wanted to talk about something really important at this Giving Tuesday Marathon. I wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through the programs we run here at BTSADV, because when you give, this is exactly what you're going to be supporting. So everything we do comes from a very small team that have really big hearts, and we're not a huge organization with endless funding. We're depending upon this community here. And tonight, every donation you give us is being boosted by a partner who's aiding and adding to the total we're raising. So genuinely, everything you give tonight has a greater impact on this Giving Tuesday. So we just want to express our appreciation for that. If you give through the links that are in the description or in the comments, that is where we'll be able to determine for sure how much will be taken in that the partner will help, donate to and boost those donations for us. We're hoping to raise $3,000. So please, like I said, we do not go off of government grants here. And we don't have government funding. We have very little as far as corporate sponsorship. About 85% of our donations of what we run off of is supporters like you who create Facebook fundraisers for us or donate through our links or do mail-in donations, that kind of thing, who run fundraisers for us. So we thank you for all the things you've done. So let's get into our programs, because I want to talk about these programs so you know exactly, like I said, what your money is getting to. Now, we talked about Holidays of Hope earlier, but in case you're just tuning in, Holidays of Hope serves children whose parents were, murdered through domestic violence. These babies are dealing with grief and trauma and court cases, custody changes. And Christmas becomes something that is definitely very heavy. And it strips the joy out of the holidays for them. So through this program, we step in and give them a Christmas they wouldn't have had otherwise. Not just presents, but, comfort, things like that, dignity, and that feeling that someone sees them. So that's one of our wonderful programs. Another program that is really essential here at Break the Silence is our support line. Now, our support line, which I'm going to plug the number here for you, it's 1-855 BTS 1777. The support line is definitely one of the most important things we offer. It's run 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. Survivors call in and they call us, and they usually call in because they don't know who else to talk to. They don't want a hotline. We are not a hotline. They just want a human being, somebody who can provide a listening ear, someone who understands what they're going through, help them create a safety plan without judgment. Somebody who understands DV. A lot of times they may be looking for local area resources, but they're not sure how to find those. And our support line people are trained to help find and locate those resources, to give you the information, those who call in, so that they can find those resources. And sometimes, a lot of times, they have to call back several times because some resources that we find for them may not always still be there. And we don't want this program to become something like that someone starts to call our support line and there's nobody there to answer, and nobody's there anymore because we don't have this program anymore. There's so many. I can't tell you how many my support line people are coming across. We search and search, and those programs are gone. And we don't want any of our programs to turn into that. So, this is for that community. Someone who will stay with them, listen to them while they're scared. Like I said, create those safety plans with them, or just listen to them when the rest of the world doesn't want to hear it. And we believe the support line is very important because of that. Another program we have here at Break the Silence is our Sister Survivor Retreats. Our Sister Survivor Retreats are definitely life-changing. Anyone who has attended one will tell you that. And we bring survivors from all over the country together, and they come and heal and breathe and rest. We definitely pamper the retreat attendees in ways that they have not ever been pampered or not been pampered for in years. We connect them to other people who understand, other women who understand their trauma. It's led by our staff and our board of directors, who all have specialties in helping with healing and trauma, so that they have this connection. You find this sisterhood. Some survivors have never been able to be involved in a safe group before. And that's really essential, because you get so isolated. That's something that the abuser does so uniquely, when they isolate you and everything. And then all of a sudden, to have this new support system, because a lot of times the support system you had before, they've left you. They're not coming back because they have their own trauma that they've kind of endured walking that with you. And so having a group that is a safe group of someone who's experienced that, some have never been told, you're not broken. You're just healing. And it's okay. So these retreats give the survivors a place to do that, a place to rebuild mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I can't tell you how many times through the retreats I have had so many women with years and years and years of therapy and everything, and they said that retreat did more for them than the years that they had in therapy. I know that's not that way for everybody, but every person deals and heals differently. And for some people, this is the thing that helps them to be able to move forward, to take real first steps into moving back into, I wouldn't say totally like a normal life, but to feeling like a person again. So, another program I just love that we have here at Break the Silence is our scholarships with our Run for Her. So every summer we do the Run for Her challenge, and all across the country people run. They run to honor people who have been lost to domestic violence. They run for survivors. They run for the people who are still in it. And all the money raised during the Run for Her is raised for scholarships for domestic violence survivors. So this program helps rebuild the futures for survivors. Whether they go back to school, they have a certification program, that type of thing. Run for Her helps to raise those funds to fuel those scholarships. And they're really essential. So I just encourage everybody to definitely check that out. You can now Run for Her. We have a whole website on that. Look it up. It's run, the number 4, and the word her, .com, I believe. There's a whole website for Run for Her. You can actually do the Run for Her challenge now anytime during the year. You don't have to wait for the big summer event. If you wanted to start running for somebody now and hoping to raise those funds for those scholarships, you can. So additional programs that have a daily impact here that your funding helps supply, beyond those major programs I just listed, your support keeps going our daily Survivor to Survivor messages, which we just, did a sample of that for you all here. Awareness and prevention campaigns through all our social medias. Educational content on all our platforms, our podcast production for Through the Eyes of Survivors and Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored. So if you don't know the difference, Through the Eyes of Survivors is every other week on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, where I interview fellow survivors out there who have vast wealth of knowledge or written books or, a unique story, etc. And then, the Through the Eyes of Survivors Uncensored is where the lovely Amanda joins me, and we talk about a current news-related topic and center it around a message so that, like when you see the headline, beyond that headline, what does that mean for survivors and or victims that are still out there enduring it. So definitely, we'd love for you to tune into those every Wednesday. Like I said, at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, it helps support advocacy resources and referrals through the support line as well. Safety planning, our web content, our survivor stories. If you would like to submit your survivor story, we have created a safe place to do that on our website. And you can keep it totally anonymous, and your story is there, where you can go through and read other survivors' stories and know that you're not alone. DV Education, we have our survivor toolkit over on our website, things like that. Our social media outreach, it reaches millions. We just went over 3 million in reach on posts last week. So carrying out that education and advocacy, that's what you're helping to support here. Every program, every service, every piece of content that's created by people who genuinely care, who work far beyond their job descriptions here, who volunteer with us. They're doing such a fantastic job. And if you'd like to be a part of that and volunteer with us, like I said, Amanda provided that in the last segment. So just know your donation does have an impact. And the matching gift that we'll receive today with our donations definitely is helpful. So tonight, your donations can go even further because of this Giving Tuesday partner who's contributing to everything we raise. I will say this, every single donation that comes in tonight gets an extra boost. It reaches our survivors and survivor families. And it may not sound like a lot at first glance, just your $5 helping out. But when the community comes together, uh, this will add up fast. So truly, even the smallest donation tonight can become a bigger part of something. So if domestic violence has ever touched you in your life, if you've lost someone, if you've ever watched a friend suffer, um, if you've been that person saying, I wish there was something I could do, there is something. So when you give to BTSADV, you're giving to Christmas for Grieving Children, safety for survivors who are alone, education that prevents abuse, healing spaces for women in our retreats, opportunities for our scholarships, and hope to families who are trying to rebuild their lives. And if you're not able to give tonight, not even $5, we still want to celebrate you by sharing our content and everything. You're still helping to be a part. So I want to thank you for listening and thank everyone who supports us. This community is the reason we keep showing up for survivors every day. And so we're going to keep on moving forward into our next segment, which is going to be our lovely Amanda. Amanda is going to take a moment right now to highlight one of our most important resources in more detail, the support line, what it looks like. She's going to walk you through that, maybe some of what support line, people who call into the support line, what those look like. And I'll give this to Amanda now.
Amanda Johnson again, and I'm coming back on to and I just thank you. I was muted. Hello, everybody. And I want to thank you for joining us to talk about the support line and why it's so important. And just to kind of give you a clarity of why this is so important to survivors, especially when they're taking their first steps towards safety and hope. Our support line number is 1-8555 BTS 1777. It's available 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. I want to make this very clear, though. This is not a crisis line. We are not here to replace 911, emergency services, or any kind of medical attention. We are a compassionate support line, a place where survivors can talk to someone and understand domestic violence and believes in them and doesn't judge them and doesn't rush them. So you're probably thinking, what does the support line actually do? So when survivors call us, they're usually in one of three places. They don't know what to call what they're experiencing yet. So they're kind of confused or scared or questioning themselves. Then they need emotional support, someone to talk to, right? Someone who listens, someone who validates the reality that they're currently in. Then they might need directions, resources, safety planning, next steps, shelter information, legal guidance, or ways to protect themselves and their children. And our volunteers step into that space with so much heart. So let me give you a scenario of what kind of a realistic call would look like without sharing any real information. So a survivor might call and say, I'm not sure if this accounts of abuse, but when he gets angry at night, he monitors my phone and he screams at me in front of my kids. And I start feeling scared in my own home. And our volunteers would usually respond like, you're safe, talk to me. You don't have to prove anything. Just tell me what's happening and we'll walk this through together. From there, we listen, we validate, we help them understand what's happening. We walk them through. So emotional support and planning services. For many survivors, it's the first time someone ever said, you're not crazy. What you're experiencing is real. the heart behind our support line is our volunteers. And they aren't reading from scripts. They're survivors themselves, or they're trained advocates with heart for this work. They show up with compassion. They hold space for someone who's scared. They walk through survivors through the darkest moments without judgment. And as they celebrate their steps towards safety, even in the smallest, tiniest ones. So if you're watching this right now and you've been feeling lost, isolated, or you're unsure what to do next, I want you to know you don't have to figure this out alone. You can call our support line at 1-855-BTS-177 every day, 9 a.m. through 9 p.m. Central Time. And if you know someone who's in an unhealthy relationship, pass this number along. It might be the thing that might get them the courage to take the next big step. Because in all honesty, sometimes you just need that guidance to get to that next step. Someone just to listen to you. I know personally, it's not always the first time. It's not always the second time. And it's not always going to be the third time. See, when you are looking into getting help and learning resources and learning about domestic violence, you want to be able to feel safe in who you are speaking to. So, with that being said, again, if you are experiencing an unhealthy relationship or you know someone who might be, please call our support line. And we will be featuring that in our description as well in the comments below. And I want to thank you for letting me share a little bit about what our support line does. And it's truly one of the most meaningful parts of our mission. And we're here for you whenever you need us. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go back to Tara.
There we are. Now I'm back. I had to unmute myself. I did like Amanda. I forgot to unmute myself. Okay, so now I know, now that we're back, this segment is very special to me, I have to say. If you have watched our podcast before and you've heard me plug our Narc Diaries over on TikTok, that has been a unique thing we've only been doing over there in TikTok. So if you haven't checked it out, that's okay. We decided today to give you an insight look onto what we do over there on the Narc Diaries, which to me, oh my goodness, I am blown away with the Narc Diaries every time I have to do that over there, because I enjoy doing it because I don't feel so alone about what all the things my narcissist said, and some of these things will blow you away that people send in. So if you haven't heard what our Narc Diaries is, it's the things that our narcissists have said to us at some point in time. And I give my personal reaction. And I don't usually do that. I try to usually stay, as you've seen over here, if you've seen the Survivor to Survivor and everything, a little more professional. But over there, we decided to kind of cut that loose for the TikTok audience. And you really get to see like my real-time reaction to some of the things these poor victims and survivors have had to listen to from their narcissist, what they said. And we shine this big spotlight on it, what kind of manipulators they are and human disasters they are, and try to translate that crazy over there. So if you like what we're doing with that, you can definitely check us out on the Narc Diaries over on TikTok. We're at BTSADV7. The Narc Diaries drop every Wednesday and Sunday around 8 p.m. Over there on TikTok. And trust me, it's definitely a circus worth attending. So tonight I've got about 10 of those stories. Some are shorter and some are longer. Some of them have a little bit of holiday flavor in there, but I wanted y'all in the comment to tell me your translations or reactions to some of these things our narcissist said, your clapbacks even. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Because like I said, this is, whew, every time I do it, I have to really, like I said, I rein myself in on a lot of stuff, but I don't on this one. So you get to see like my real reactions on it. So I unapologetically give my opinions on some things, and sometimes it's a little funny, I have to say. But anyway, let's get into that, right? Let's do some of our Narc Diary stuff that has been sent in. That way, like our YouTube and Facebook and everybody, people can get a taste of what that's like. And if you want more, definitely check us out on TikTok. So let's see. Let me bring these up here. Let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. Okay. My ex would scream at me all year long, but every Christmas Eve he'd show up with one single Walmart bag saying, "Look, I'm trying." Isn't that sweet? He's trying. Okay. And inside the bag was always socks. Socks. Seriously, like everybody, like, a sock's a universal symbol for I ain't changed, maybe, but I want the credit for the thought. I mean, socks. Anyway, she goes on to say, always socks. One year he said, "These represent the steps I'm taking to be a better man." Oh my goodness. Sir, if these are the steps you're taking, I mean, come on, steps through the Walmart parking lot, keep your socks on, okay? Keep your symbolism. We don't want your socks, all right? Wow. She says, spoiler alert, he never took a single step. Of course. You know, if socks is the metaphor for Christmas, you know, how I'm trying. Wow. He's really saying kind of like lower your expectations, baby, right? For the holidays. If socks are what we are using to gauge that. Wow. Okay. Audience, definitely drop your comments in. What's the worst gift that, you know, that guilt gift that the narcissist ever gave you? Socks. That one, yeah. Keep your socks. Thank you. Let's see. My next one I got was they sent me. Okay. Every year, my mom invites the entire family over for Christmas dinner except me. Well, isn't that lovely? That's just so sweet. Everybody but you, huh? Okay. I'm so sorry, honey. She says, "Well, you've always been sensitive, and the holidays are stressful. I'm just protecting you from being overwhelmed." Meanwhile, she posts photos on Facebook with the caption, "Family is everything." Seriously? Family is everything, okay? Except for that child that they can't emotionally like manipulate anymore. This is like classic narcissist parent math, right? Exclude you because you're too emotional. You exclude them because you're ungrateful. Y'all hear that? Seriously, I mean, it sounds like gaslighting with jingle bells on it. I hear it. I'm sorry. I hear the gaslighting with jingle bells in the background. That's what I hear. That's just crazy. That's crazy. So has your family ever decorated their dysfunctional holiday with glitter? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Definitely in there. Let me check your comments. Jim says that's a message to run. He ain't getting any better. The socks one, right? Oh my goodness, I agree with that. Let's see. Oh, silent treatment. So this one says, my boyfriend once filled my stocking with sticky notes saying things like, you should smile more, don't ruin today, and try harder. Try harder. Well, Merry Christmas. There, narcissist gives you a new level of low self-esteem on that one with sticky notes. Sir, you can keep your Dollar Tree sticky notes. Send them to Dr. Phil. He would rather have that message. We don't need that message. I mean, imagine thinking you're Santa Claus, but you're actually just this petty little elf with a superiority complex, right? Sticky notes. Can you imagine that, seriously? And audience, what's the pettiest thing your ex ever left you? I tell you, mine left a sticky note. No. That's all I got to say. No. Another one sent in said, last year at Thanksgiving, my husband waited until my entire family was seated. Then he announced he needed to be honest. Oh, okay, good. Honesty is the best policy. What is he being honest about? He told them he felt unappreciated, unsupported, and that I never cooked, even though I had made the entire Thanksgiving meal. No, so he went that route, did he? He cried. She says, he cried. He cried. Sir, she cooked the meal, and you are enacting emotional terrorism on the family over the cranberry sauce that's on the side? Crying. She didn't cry just it was loud, dramatic, choking sobs. And my family comforted him while I stood there covered in flour from cooking for 8 hours. Wow. The whole family comforted him. Really? Really? Wow. You would think that the man married her family, not her. Like he married a whole fan club. Comforted him. Seriously. I can't even. Later that night, he said, see, everyone agrees you're the problem. Oh, hell no, they did not. Seriously? Okay. Let me tell you something. If a man cries harder about being unappreciated than he does about hurting you, he doesn't want healing. He wants a stage. Right? He just hijacked the whole holiday. And you don't have to put up with that. Narcissists want to be the center of attention out there, and girl, they'll burn the turkey to get it. So don't put up with that. So if anyone has ever hijacked your holiday to make it about them, drop your story in here. We want to read about that for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Jim says, can't change the date to get together, even though I'm only one working. Oh, he needs puffs with lotion and a good kick in the butt. That's a great comment. Yes, that crying. I like that. Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Let's see. What else we got? This one says, my ex once bought me a vacuum for Christmas and said, well, let's see if you use it this time. Wow. All I got to say is, wow. A vacuum. How thoughtful. How thoughtful. Maybe next year he can wrap up some laundry detergent. Maybe he'll call that luxury for you, right? So I promise you, if you bought it, she didn't want it. I'm just saying. Just have to say. This one says, my sister tries to outdo everything good in my life. Oh, you have one of those sisters. Okay. I announced my engagement. She announced her pregnancy. Okay. I bought a house and she suddenly decided to move. Oh, wow. Okay. I planned a Christmas party. She scheduled one the same day and invited my friends. Oh, no, she did not. Wow, that's not a sister. She's like your personal anti-achievement department, isn't she? You know, some siblings thrive on that and they just go. You know, sibling, you have some siblings who sit there and go, well, I'm proud of you. But the narcissistic sibling says, like, how dare you, right? If she could come up, you know, if she could one up you at your funeral, she probably would try it. I'm just saying. I mean, come on. Do you really have to have that big a sibling rivalry? No, only with a narcissistic sibling. That's the truth. Let's see. This one is about their boss. My boss told me I couldn't take off for Christmas to see my kids because it showed a lack of loyalty to my company family. Oh, no, not the company family. Really? Come on. No. We don't share a company family. We share W-2s, mister. Okay? You're not the daddy. You're not the pastor. You're not the keeper of Christmas. You ain't no jolly old St. Nicholas himself. That's just corporate narcissism at its finest, except emotional loyalty given to you with a raise of what, 2% annually? Screw that. I ain't even gonna play with the boss. And if you have experienced any of that, definitely drop that in the comments. I hate narcissistic bosses out there. Let's see. This one. I told my cousin confidentially I was filing for divorce. She announced it at Christmas dinner and said I'm helping her be honest. Then she winked like she was Oprah. Oh, God bless your heart. Bless her heart. She really thinks she's emotionally the news anchor of the family. La-di-da. Let me tell you, anytime someone says, I'm just being honest, they're usually just being hurtful. And a wink, honey, that ain't Oprah. That's like dollar store Dr. Phil. Just saying. All right. Let's see another one. My ex gave me a gift card for $10 to the store he likes. Okay, wow. $10 to his favorite store. That ain't a gift, baby. That's an errand. He basically said, go fetch me something for me, sweetheart. Here you go. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say, return that man and keep the card. That's my thoughts on that one. Oh my goodness. That is just insane. No, keep the card. Keep the card. Jim said, God, family, then company, no yeah, that part. Let's see. I think I have one more in here. This past Christmas, after months of love bombing, oh, gotta love the love bombing, don't ya? My new boyfriend ruined the whole holiday by picking a fight because I bought my daughter a nicer gift than him? Hmm. He said, it's obvious she's your priority. Imagine that. Imagine that. She wrote, yes, my child is my priority. He sulked all day and told me I made him feel unwanted because I didn't want to spend the entire holiday comforting his ego. Oh, sweetheart. Oh, my goodness. You're telling me that this grown man got jealous of your child. Your child. That's not a boyfriend. That's a toddler with facial hair. Okay? Just, And that line, you made me feel unwanted. Yeah, it's called accountability. Just saying. And if a child is what crushes your fragile ego, oh my goodness. Listen, girl, that's not a partner. He's your project. We don't need those kinds of projects. Okay? Just get rid of that. We're not doing that one today. To parents, if you've ever had a partner jealous of your own child, definitely let's talk about that. Drop that in the comments because, oh my, some of these, I swear that we get in, it's just, it's not funny, but at the same time, it's laughable. Yeah, people actually do this to other people. It's just insane. So, yeah, y'all, that was the Narc Diaries Live. I want to thank everybody who did jump in and make some comments. If you want more of this type of chaos and survival sarcasm, remember the Narc Diaries drop every Wednesday and Sunday around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time over on TikTok at BTSADV7. And stick around. We're going to keep the Giving Tuesday Marathon rolling. We're now going to go into our next big topic. So we're going to bring Amanda back in and highlight a DV story that recently shocked all of us. This is exactly the kind of cases that reminds us how awareness matters and why support matters and why our programs are necessary. So Amanda, you want to come back in? Oop, you're muted.
I'm not muting. I need to learn how to use my unmute button today, guys.
How did you like that with the Narc Diary? Some of those just make me.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the sticky note.
The sticky note is the one that got you. Isn't that sad?
For Christmas one year, guys, I wanted to chime in so bad. My ex got me a pack of gum and batteries. So,
this is an episode of MacGyver. Okay, take the gum and stick those where the sun don't shine. I'm just saying.
I just remember being so confused. I was like, gave birth to your 3 children, and here we are.
I watched a little too much MacGyver on that one, and he
was like, "Well, you told me that you wanted," and he gave me the most weirdest. Because I was mad. It didn't go well. It just didn't go well. And we really weren't. He was cheating on me at that time. I knew he was. So I was even more enraged. And I remember being like, why batteries? The gum, to this day, I don't know why the gum, but the batteries, I was still more confused. He's like, well, you like to watch TV and the remote batteries are dead. And I'm thinking, my dad had a whole drawer full of batteries growing up, and he would just walk to the kitchen and change the remote batteries. I didn't know this was a Christmas specialty. I guess the remote wasn't going to work till Christmas. So I just...
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just telling you guys. That's why when I hear these, I'm like, they're not making, no one can make it. And it sounds so crazy, right, Tara? When you read it, you're like, but you can't make that stuff up. You just can't. We don't.
I can't even. I can't even. You can't make this stuff up.
I've even heard one where someone told me that they would ask their boyfriend to get stuff for them because they lived together and he was taller. He got her a step stool for Christmas.
Okay. A step stool.
A step stool.
Okay, well, all I got to say on that one is just, yeah, she needs to, make him a stepping stone.
That's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
Yes, they're no longer a relationship together, but now I 100% understand why.
her stepping stone to right out the door.
Her stepping stone.
Relationship. That's what that needs to be right there. I'm just saying.
So we do have a shocking story.
Yeah, we need. I guess we have to move on.
We got off track. But I'm telling you.
Yeah, you guys got a glimpse into my real personality here. I'm just saying. Amanda,
yeah, you guys like Amanda and Tara were just like, just takes a couple of articles to get us going. But we do have another shocking story, unfortunately, to get everybody riled up on again. Is local woman found locked in freezer by boyfriend after weeks of torture, survives by kicking her way out.
Well, I can't even laugh about that one. Anything you can say about that, that is just horrific.
So authorities in a mid-sized U.S. town responded to a call from neighbors who reported hearing banging and screaming. When they arrived, officers found a 29-year-old woman bruised, hypothymic, covered in duct tape, kicking from inside a padlocked deep freezer. And I mean, I'm just claustrophobic. So, I mean, my anxiety is just like, and my empath is just like feeling all the emotions right now. I can't. Her boyfriend had locked her inside after she told him she wanted to leave the relationship. Investigators said that this wasn't a one-time assault. The house contained broken broom handles, zip ties, pile of smashed phones, holes in every drywall sheet, blood inside the bathroom cabinet, multiple handwritten pages where he forced her apologies for things speaking too loudly, looking at him wrong. He told the police he just needed to cool her off.
Oh, my.
Neighbors admitted they heard fights, months of thuds, crashes, shouting, but described the boyfriend as quiet and polite.
The same thing about Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm just saying. That's just ridiculous.
Well, it makes me mad because they've heard things, but then they're like, he's polite. Okay. The victim is now in protective care and recovering.
At least she survived it. My God. See, this is exactly why we do what we do, right? He needed to cool her off.
Why?
Literally.
He needed to cool off. He needed. And to me, Tara, this is what is so scary, is that the fact that everybody has free will to decide whether or not they want to be in a relationship, whether you're married or engaged or just dating. And the fact that people cannot sometimes end relationships without death consequences blows my mind. Blows my mind. Listen, I've been a young girl who got her heart broken and really wanted that boyfriend back. And where you're a teenager and you're like, but I never, ever wanted to take someone's life because of that. And the fact that she was able to fight her way out was a blessing, because I'm going to tell you, there could have been so much in that time. She could have hyperventilated to death. I mean, that she could have not made it out. She could have had a panic attack so bad that she froze and she couldn't move her body and her limbs. I mean,
cool off.
And then the paper,
in jail.
the letters that he made her write. Who is he? Her dad? And even as a mother, I wouldn't. That's so human. I'm sorry. That to me, that triggers because in my abuser, I would always say, "You're not my father," because I felt that when he was yelling at me, I would say, "You're punishing me. I'm not your child. Stop punishing me like you're." And that's what they do. But then people are like, "Well, she wrote it." But let me tell you, he probably was on that woman so hard with no sleep, no food, that she was delirious and would have done anything he asked of her.
He locked her in a freezer. You don't think you're going to write notes to get out?
Letters. I mean, he had piles of smashed bones.
That's crazy. That's
I mean,
crazy.
I just,
You know,
and
and
then
of course they all assume he's quiet and polite. I mean, dangerous people, really dangerous people, like I said, Jeffrey Dahmer, they're not going to expose their hand. They're members of the homeowners association, and they bake you muffins, and they join your neighborhood watch, and because they want people to think they are normal.
well, and Tara, I'm going to be very honest with you, and this might rattle some people. This might hurt people's feelings. The banging and the yelling, well, he's nice to us, so we don't have a problem with him. If you have a problem with him, that's your problem. That is his wife's problem. That is your. And I'm not saying this because this is assumptions. I lived that. Where someone full face looked at me and said, "He is a good person to me. I have no issues with him. That is on you and him." So so for them to say he's polite, well, yeah, he might be polite, quiet when you're out the driveway and he's out the driveway, and you give a little wave and a hi while you're mowing your yard, thinking everything's domestic. But while you're taking your groceries in and you hear the F-bomb and a girl screaming and things throwing, you no longer see him or hear him, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's sometimes the mentality is if they are nice to us, we don't have an issue with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And isn't that sad? You know, we talk all the time about lethality. And this woman survived by kicking her way out of a locked freezer. Do people out there really understand the level of fight and fear and desperation it takes to do something like that? It's incredible. And that's why people have to take these kind of things seriously. You know, if you report it to the cops and it ends up being nothing, great. But what if it wasn't? What if it's like this poor woman who was locked in the freezer? You could have helped saved her life. You know, that kind of thing, right, Amanda?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, you don't have to intervene. I know that it's scary to have to go, and we don't ask that. We never want someone to magnify a dangerous situation, but all it takes is a phone call. All it does. You know, and make sure that when you do this to understand that you'd rather be wrong than right and not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, this is a community thing. This ain't just this is a at home behind closed doors. As much as society has taught us it should be, it's not. It's a ripple effect. And you can make a difference, as Tara said, with someone's life, but just one phone call, or even giving a resource, even if it's just reaching out to someone you know that could help this person, or certain things. You don't have to be in the front of the fire, but at least don't watch it burn and not say anything.
Yeah, don't ignore it. They
Yeah.
they said they heard it for months.
Months. So to me, that's a pattern. To me, that is, and it's not that they just didn't hear, like, they heard banging, screaming, crashing, things breaking. I mean, this isn't like a normal, couple blow up here and there where, oh, yeah, here goes Bobby and Sally, with one of their petty fights again. I
Right.
mean, they were very act of domestic violence, but then called him polite and quiet. And that is such. But then again, that's where my brain goes back to, they're only seeing the polite and quiet Tara when he is in front of them.
Right.
So, with that being said, if hearing any of this trigger you or something that reminds you of your situation, we always encourage you to reach out to our support line. Again, at 1-855-BTS-177. Again, we are 7 days a week from 9 a.m. Central Time to 9 p.m. Central. We are non-crisis, but we are here for a kind ear and resources. We believe in you. We will listen, and we will support you.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. We got some comments. Show. That poor woman is lucky to be alive. I vote for the death penalty for him. And what comes out of man's mouth must first go through his brain. When he threatens, believe him, he's dangerous. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's just, wow. The strength it took her, that just really gets to me. And more than likely, he is just going to get a slap on the wrist as far as time. Even as dangerous as he is.
And that is the scary part to that, Tara.
Definitely. If you're watching this, what stood out to you about this case? Some of this may sound familiar. These kinds of scenarios, I know my daughter was tied up for a whole weekend. And she had to convince him that they were getting back together and staying together. She tried to leave, and he forced her back into the house and tied her up. So and what has sickened me after 13 years is how many other cases I've heard stuff like this similar. I mean, it's happening. And I mean, drop your thoughts in the comments for sure, but you think that this is just a rarity, but it's not. This kind of thing is happening all the time. And that's why people need, support. That's why we need awareness for sure. So, stories like this, it's really hard. It's really hard to tell them, but it's necessary because it shows what survivors face and why awareness matters. For sure. You have any closing comments, Amanda, on that?
No, just, man, what a brave woman. That's all I can say. I mean, kudos to her. I mean, I just know, guys, you're stronger than what you think. And that even means emotionally. If she was able to fight herself that way out of that, we are able to fight ourselves through a lot of things. And abuse does teach us, unfortunately, how strong we are. It's not always the best way to learn it. But, yeah, with that being said, just remember to please, again, as I said, reach out to the support line if you are feeling unsafe or if you need, some resources or just someone to talk to. Because again, we always don't know where we're at, and it's nice to have someone to speak to. So yeah, Tara, I'm gonna go ahead and gonna get off here and let you move on. But
All right. Well, play that video for us on donations real quick, right? And then we'll be right back to talk
I think
about.
we already. Oh yes, I think we already played, Tara.
Oh, I thought we did programs, right? That one.
We did programs, we did the donations and holidays of hope.
Oh, okay. Then we did play all of them. So
no, I was also thinking too. I was like, did I not play one? And then I looked and I was like, no, we did.
You're good. We're good. All right. So we're just going to talk about right quick, everyone. Where before we come into when Lauren jumps in here at 4:00 in about 20 minutes, I'll talk a little bit here. I might have Amanda jump back in here in a minute, but or you can stay here, Amanda, if you'd like. For now, we can discuss this.
Yeah, I could say.
Yeah. So absolutely. We were just wanting to tell everyone that we're coming into the home stretch of this Giving Tuesday marathon for sure, and this is why your support is absolutely crucial. And if you've been watching this afternoon thinking I want to help, but you're not sure if your little bit will matter, well, let me tell you, every single dollar matters, every single one. And I have seen that we have gotten at least $55 in as of right now. I was looking at that over here. We were hoping to raise $3,000 by the end of the day today, so you still got time. Even if you're watching this later today on Giving Tuesday, or you need to wait till you get home or whatever before you can put a donation in, that is fine. We do have a partner who's helping us this Giving Tuesday to give an extra boost, definitely, to the donation totals that are happening today. So just know your gift is going to go further tonight than any other day of the year. Right, Amanda?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So your donation supports countless programs which we've discussed about. And when you donate to BTSADV, you're not just donating to some bottomless nonprofit black hole here. You're donating for a Holidays of Hope program, providing Christmas for children who have lost a parent to domestic violence, kids who are grieving, kids who are traumatized, kids who don't feel seen or just want to feel safe. Of course, our support line again at 1-855-BTS-1777, staffed 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. They're real humans, real advocates, real survivors answering calls and supporting people through their terror and confusion and their heartbreak. You're supporting our Sister Survivor retreats, life-changing weekends for women who were finally able to breathe again, where you find community, where you're told you're not broken, you're not, worthless kind of thing. Since we have some added time, I would love for Amanda to just tell your experience about the Sister Survivor retreat. Because I know when you came in, you had been a volunteer, but you had just been hired in as staff to come into the retreat. So what was that experience like for you?
So I got to come in, as you said, as a survivor, but also as staff. So I kind of double dipped, right? Because I got the survivor experience, but I also got to go on the other side of what the staff organization and how it's ran. So it was kind of really nice to be able to experience both on my first experience. At the time, my abuser was just released from jail. I was still very much in my healing process of moving forth in my life, and coming to the Sister Survivor Retreat literally changed so much of my process of healing from there. We do something at the retreat, which is called letter burning, right? And we always hear about like how it's good to write things down. And I even saw on Pinterest where people would like write things on plates and break them. And I never understood the power behind that, right? Because I was just like, especially for survivors, because we're like, we watch things get break. And I have broken things in anger, and I didn't feel better in moments of reactive abuse. You know, I always say I broke one of the most ridiculous things that you could break, which was one of those plates, and I forget the name of it, but they have a commercial that if you drop it, it doesn't break. Well, when I did it, it went to like 1,000,000 pieces.
Oh no.
So I always thought in my head when I heard of those scenarios, I feel like that's not going to help me, right? I don't feel that's good because I have thrown things in anger and I did not have any kind of release. I felt more stupid. I felt more embarrassed. But what I was realizing, this was a control. Like, you know, we weren't all like running around carelessly, like being, or we weren't angry. This was more of a controlled where we were able to write letters to our abuser, get everything out in a safe area, and then throw away what we just wrote because we were no longer going to hold. My abuser was incarcerated for charges that wasn't for me. And that was very hard because I was fighting who he was to me and my children, but also who he was to other people. And at that retreat, I was able to open up and express things that I couldn't have in even my own family. And I remember Tara could tell you it was like I don't want to say an exorcism, but it was something of like just a whole.
Actually, when I described it to everybody, it was like we were having a revival. It was like the Holy Spirit took over. Amanda, she was just.
I was like, and me and Tara were literally like holding hands and jumping up and down in the middle because she was like, "How do you feel?" And I'm like, "Ah!" And again, it was because, not because of, you know, it wasn't even the atmosphere because we weren't pumping each other on. We were quiet. So it wasn't like, you know, where you're like at a dance and everybody's just pumping you. We weren't. It was more authentic when we were having those moments because once we said that, there was no, you're crazy, or are you sure you remembered it that way? Or it was, we are so sorry. There was people hugging you. There was people telling you they were proud of you. You don't realize how powerful that is until that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you are with women from all over the country that you've never met. I mean, we are all flying in from different places. So this isn't like we're all in Colorado Springs and we're all like, we are coming, I'm from Pittsburgh, PA, Tara's in Texas. We had women coming from California, from, you know, different parts. And we were all just loving on each other because, again, we all had one thing in common. It's right. So different, but one thing in common. And as Tara said, we don't claim to be therapists. We can't claim that we can do better than therapists because sometimes in your life you really do need medical help, and there is never a problem with that. And we do have restrictions for our Sister Survivor Retreat where we do make sure you're a good healing place because we all are very honest. I could have went my first 4 years out. I was too trauma bonded and too messy. And that wouldn't have been the time where I would have been able to reciprocate all of that healing and tools. So we do ask these ladies when they come in, you know, hey, is this going to be a good time for you? Because we say it's like ripping off a Band-Aid, but it's a good rip off. Because we have to rip off those bands. We got to get a little bit raw, but we find different ways to heal instead of continuously hiding them. So it is a blessing. And I'm not even saying that because I work for BTS ADV or I volunteer. As a survivor personally, this is something, I mean, we even see these ladies still today. I saw it in my Facebook comments. They're like, I miss you, sister. I love you. And every time, and I'm sure you love that, Tara, every time I see that, I'm just like, we did that. That's so nice that we were able to give them. That's because that's all we want. We're not looking for the money aspect of it. It's wonderful to have our programs going. It's wonderful to be able to pay for things. But our biggest blessing, our biggest fill up is watching these ladies go home because some people are coming from small communities that don't want to talk about this or don't have anybody else to talk, don't have friends or family that really, they're like, are you over this now? So now when they're having these bad days, they have a sister that they can email, text, or call and say, it's just not feeling it. And they will still give them the validation they need, even if they're 4,000 miles away. That
Right.
is that is so crucial. This is life-saving to some women. Some of these women, this is their last resort. I mean, Tara can even tell you when we watch them walk in the first day, you'll see different emotions. You'll see ones that are a little bit more confident and like excited to be there. Then you'll have the ones of the deer in the headlights, just like, did
They
I
are
make the right
so
decision?
broken, you can just see the brokenness all over them, and they haven't even said a word, and you just want to hug them the whole time and just cry
You
because you
do.
feel that pain, it's all over them. Yeah.
And by the time they leave, you see a little bit of their shoulders relaxed. They're laughing more. They're more because
They're more sure of themselves, they're more confident.
of what they're saying.
Mhm.
Because again, we're all coming in different times. So you'll have some of these ladies who are, in the healing process, not as mad. And then you'll have these ladies who are spitting mad and they will be cracking each other up, talking about what they want to do to their exes. And let us tell you, it's so healing just to have those conversations and go to jail for it. So, sometimes they need that. They need that.
Mhm.
And that's why we do what we do with the Sister Survivor Retreat. That is a very, very big deal to us.
Yes, yes, and so definitely the donations help support that kind of healing. They are integral for what we do here. Um, we discussed like the scholarship program. I will tell you that has helped so many survivors, but it also helps in the healing of families like mine because these scholarships are given out in honor of victims' families, the families who participate. They get to be able to contact the student and tell them that they have been picked for a scholarship that is in honor of the memory of their child. And so not only does it help the survivor build a future, but the families get to see the good, something good come out of what was definitely evil to help build the futures that they weren't able to help their family member build and create, stability. That one of the huge statistics in this is like 85% of victims of abuse who go back to college, who go back to school, 85% do not enter back into another domestic violence relationship. That's huge. That's huge. So we were the first in the country to offer that type of a scholarships exclusively for survivors, and we'd like to maintain that program in the future. Um, and again, just helping support survivors out there, daily guidance, daily validation, the resources, the safety planning, the education, emotional support for victims trying to escape and heal. A place here on these platforms that you can put in your voice and what happened to you and found support and connection, even the voice to tell us, well, your difference of opinion in here. And I can tell you in all these years of doing social media, um, I have found so much value in supporters' opinions into the comments that sometimes there's different sides of things, different things that survivors have gone through that you hadn't thought about. And so we're always seeing those and reading those and adjusting where we can here in this organization because of that. You know, you're helping to support awareness and prevention and content that helps support that as well. The educational posts that literally save lives, the podcasts that help educate the public. That's the kind of impact you're having, right, Amanda?
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to add to that part that I didn't think of that they're helping the support in that way?
No, I mean, in all honesty, guys, it all lumps sum to one. big thing. It's helping bring brighter futures to women who honestly have taken that next step, and for those who want to take that next step. Um, when we talk about change, we need to also be able to have resources for change. And if those resources aren't there, then we cannot help change certain things. And when it comes to this mission, it is crucial, so crucial, because this is not only now, this is the future, for your daughters, your granddaughters, everybody, your sons, nephews, nieces, friends. This affects an entire community. It affects your students. It affects your coworkers. It affects everybody that you come in contact with. And it's not, again, a home thing. It's a community. It's a bigger than what we need to be. So when you are donating to these programs, you're not just donating to that specific program. You're donating to the whole cause. And that really is the gist of it. We really want to be able to make sure that all of the survivors that come to BTS ADV has an experiences with us that betters them more than when they came to us, and to be able to stay connected with us in this journey and be able to maybe later volunteer. We are not looking to, stay where we're at. We're always growing because we want people to grow with us and heal with us. Me and Tara were both at a place where we had people believing us, and BTS ADV was one of them. And we needed this. We needed this in our healing journey, and we were able to be where we are at because of this organization. So this is just very crucial, guys. And even a little bit. And I know sometimes when we think about even donating to these programs, we think we need to give a lot. It's not. $5, $10. Coffee that you were going to spend on your way home or tomorrow morning that you can make at home. If you pack your lunch tomorrow and skip out on ordering lunch from DoorDash, that $25 would mean so much more than you realize. It's crucial. Even when women leave domestic violence relationships, they're still susceptible to getting back in another one, not knowingly either. It's just from lack of knowledge and lack of resources and lack of understanding. And when we have stuff like this out here, it can stop it. The community can, even just having a sister in domestic violence, can stop it. Someone to be there to tell you, this ain't right. We're here to support you. This is crucial. This could also make sure that we don't have another child joining our Holidays of Hope list, because that's not a list we want any child to be on.
Right.
So.
Right. Absolutely. So, if you've ever wondered whether or not your donation really matters, let me tell you something. When a child opens a Christmas gift because their parent was murdered and they've got that gift because of you, it matters. And when a woman calls the support line crying, someone who actually answers, that's because of you. And when survivors see one of those narc videos and realize I'm not crazy, that is abuse. That is because of you. Your generosity becomes hope. It becomes safety. It becomes healing. Definitely becomes somebody's lifeline. So our giving goal for tonight is $3,000. And to those who have donated already, thank you so much. If we hit that, the boost from our partner will take us even further. And that funding carries us through December programming, delivers Holidays of Hope, keeps our support line operations going, carry us over into January as we start our awareness programs and campaigns for the new year. And, the first wave in that first quarter of the 2026 Survivor Services. So we are not there yet. And we need you to help us cross that finish line. We're hoping to raise that today. Even if we don't raise it today, we will still be here through the month of December trying to raise that, because that is our focus, to be able to do that. So here's what I'm asking you. Like Amanda said, if you have $5 or $10, click that donate button, or drop donated in the chat, or even share the live stream with someone who might be able to give. If you can't donate financially, you're still helping us by sharing and by commenting, and helping spread awareness. You never know whose life you may be impacting just by helping this message reach one more person, right? And we would love to, if you donate today, we'd love to shout you out real quick. If you feel free for us to do that, type donated in the comments. Otherwise, we're going to keep your donation anonymous. Your generosity is fueling our work, and your compassion is literally holding up survivors, and letting them know that we see them and we appreciate them and we love them. So I definitely want to thank everyone who's been here tonight, whether it's big or small, what you've donated. Thank you for sharing the live stream. Thank you for cheering us on, for praying for us, believing in us. We can't do this work without you. And tonight you can make a real difference in the lives of survivors and children. So we just appreciate you so much. Well, we should be heading into Lauren's segment here, but Lauren hasn't logged in yet with us.
No, I've been trying to see if I could get in contact with her. I'm just afraid she might have got confused on the time, but I did give her the link this morning. So we will.
Okay. So if you want to, in the background there, Amanda, contact her, I'll just talk a little bit more and see what we can do. You definitely want to stay for when Lauren comes in, y'all, because this is going to be like a typical Through the Eyes of Survivors closing for the next hour. Lauren and I are going to be talking about what forgiveness actually looks like for survivors. So, and Lauren is a wealth of knowledge. So, definitely want to stay with us for that. And
Terry, you go ahead and Terry.
No, you go ahead. What were you going to say?
You want me to go ahead and jump out then, and I'll go ahead and see what's going on with Lauren, and I'll let you know here in the background.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll continue this here in a minute as soon as Lauren comes in. Sorry about the delay, everybody, for that. So this is the biggest part of our podcast today, what we're doing. So many organizations are so worthy to give to on Giving Tuesday. So Jim asked, does Sending Stars qualify in Giving Tuesday? No, you have to donate through the link that is in the comments or in the description. Here in a minute, I'll have Amanda pop that link back in there. You have to donate through that link. But as far as for it to be matched with the partners, it has to be through that link. But if all you can do is give stars, then yes, we will absolutely receive those funds through Facebook. Or you can go to our website and donate as well. If you see this broadcast after the Giving Tuesday, we will still be looking to try to meet that $3,000 goal that we have set. It's just today only through that link, the partner is going to match a percentage of our funding. So we're just trying to encourage everybody to definitely use that link. And that way your donation makes a bigger impact. So thank you, Jim, for asking that question. If anybody else had any questions, definitely pop those in. Um, we would love to answer any questions you have on that, on any of our services, or what we do, or how you could be a part. Again, money is not the only thing. We definitely have volunteer positions open that can be very insightful and impactful to us. Um, so definitely check that out as well. Uh, Also, those survivor retreats, the application is always online. So if you wanted to be a part of that, go ahead and put your application in there. We would love to see you apply and be a part of the survivor retreats. But the biggest thing is, the donations, especially for Christmas, for the holidays of hope, because we want to be sure that all the children who've applied to the holidays of hope are getting that special Christmas gift this year, and that we don't have to leave any children behind on receiving something that can impact them for the holidays, that they can find joy in. Absolutely. And Amanda is still in the background. I'm sorry for the delay. We're trying to figure out what has happened to our wonderful Lauren, who is supposed to be in this next segment here. So, in the meantime, um, okay. She said Lauren's still not. Did you try texting her? I would text her, Amanda. Yeah. Um, so what we may do is, like, here in a minute after Amanda's done texting Lauren, to see what has happened to our last segment here, we may have Amanda come back in, and her and I just talk about um, another topic until Lauren can come in, or we may end up having to close our marathon out early. Let's see what happens here. But we thank y'all here at Break the Silence. Break the Silence definitely, like I was saying, the impact you guys have been showing the last few months has really jumped. So all the comments and the shares, the likes and stuff have bumped awareness efforts to domestic violence. You are helping us make a difference. You are part of helping us make a difference when you do that. So before we came into October, uh, the reach out there into the public in Facebook alone was only at about 250,000, which is about the number of people who follow us, which please give us a follow. But over the last 2 months, uh, it's actually hit to where 3 million people are seeing our content and sharing in the comments and liking and giving their opinions. That's huge. That is so many people out there who we are reaching out to, that who are seeing that not only is this such an insidious problem, they're finding tools to deal with them. They're finding compassion. They're finding people who understand. They're finding content out there that is helping them realize that they're not alone, and that they are a part of a community who wants to see them heal and thrive and have a real life, a real love, a real journey, have happiness, have the ability to find and set your boundaries, the ability to go out and function as a semi-normal person again. You're never everybody carries some kind of trauma, and learning to deal with that trauma is key. And a lot of people are finding that support in community by the things you're doing and the things you're sharing. So we just would love to see that keep going and growing. So, Miss Amanda, what we got going? You want to come back in and chat for a little bit?
Sure. Okay. So I am trying to get a hold of Lauren, and as we are waiting, there might have been a miscommunication with times. I'm not sure, so I'm gonna go ahead. I did text message, all that good stuff. So, but here I am. So Tara, if you want to go ahead, we could discuss whatever you fulfill. Would be a great topic while we see if she could jump in and here in the next couple minutes or so.
While we're waiting for Lauren, if she can jump in, let's talk about, maybe let's just talk about some of the major red flags of abuse, you and I.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the public, those who've been through it, they definitely know it. Chime in with your opinions on it out there. But let's just go through some of those for those out there who may be watching, who are like questioning what are the major signs of red flags for abuse. So let's start with like love bombing. That one is a big term that everybody seems to know, right?
Yes. That's a huge one. That is, and I think that we really don't understand it until you have it happen to you, because love bombing can come across as someone who's being really charismatic. But the red flags in that is if they're already telling you they love you within like a couple of days.
Or you're their soulmate.
You're the love of their life, and you are going to have their baby.
And you've only been on one date.
You're like, that part. And here's the thing. I was that girl who had low self-esteem, who didn't have a lot of good self-worth, and ate that stuff up like it was pizza. I mean, I want, and I don't want to, shame anybody that has done that, because women who, or girls, teenage girls especially, and girls in their early 20s, if you have low self-esteem and are still finding who you are, that might sound really romantic. Like, oh my gosh, especially if you're not getting that attention, you didn't get that attention at home, or, you didn't have a good childhood. That sounds wonderful, but it's not realistic. It's not. Someone's not gonna know that you're the love of their life within a few days. They're not. Especially after one date. They're not gonna know. They're gonna want to marry you if they've never even been out on a date with you. I mean, I've had men do that, and I'm like, we haven't been on a first date. Like, you haven't even seen how I eat.
So sometimes it feels so romantic, and then all of a sudden the control comes in.
Yes, and they're so good at it. Like, I mean, this isn't like someone that's cheesy, right? Where you're like, dude, this isn't too. Like, they learn your love language. They learn what you want to hear. That is one of the things that really they will study you. I mean, my narcissist ex even admitted to this. He studied me. He watched what made me like, ooh, because I'm such like a boisterous person when I'm watching things. Like, oh, I love that, so they'll pick that up. Oh, okay. But not like what a loving husband would do. Like, oh, Tara really likes mint chocolate chip ice cream. So when I go to the store, it's more of, how can I woo her over to F her over later, is more of their mindset. And they do grand gestures, or they'll lie about what they've done for their exes in the past. Because I remember like hearing my abuser talk about all the things he did. Like, he bragged. I don't know if you've ever had that happen, Tara, where they'll brag about like what they've done in the past for like ex-girlfriends, which they shouldn't be talking about in the first place. That's another red flag, is if they are continuously bringing up exes. But I mean, he would just be like, tell me these stories, and now I cringe when I think about them. Like, why did I even believe this guy when he couldn't even get me a nice dinner, let alone the stories he gave me. So they build themselves up into this like whole kind of like romance kind of persona, And it stays. It doesn't go away very fast either until the first incident happens. And I think that's why it takes you so off guard, because it's such a Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde moment. Because you're like, whoa, that guy who told me that was the most beautiful woman in the world, that wanted to spend that he couldn't live without me, now just told me I am a B word and I need to go get hit by a car and he hates me. Like,
Yeah.
in your brain's just like two different separate sections going, what just happened?
Hmm. Well, and another big one is always the isolation. But what gets me is a lot of times, it doesn't come as, okay, you can't go anywhere without me anymore, because then that's just too noticeable. It starts like without you really noticing it. Like they kind of make you feel guilty about going out with your friends, or like, well, why are you going with your friends when you could be here with me? I had plans with you tonight. And it starts like so innocent, I was going to surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it evolves into, I really don't like that family member. And they usually start with family members that you didn't really like anyway.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and then they
And
come out, and they, all of this about the plans you're making and everything all of a sudden needs to be plans with them. Well, why can't I be with your friends? Why can't we all go together? Well, then, well, I really don't want to go out. Why don't we stay here? I just didn't feel it tonight. And it develops over time.
they always super hate everybody. There's no grace. So they'll feed off an incident. Like, you're always going to have a moment with a friend. You're going to have a moment with a relative where you're going to get upset with them, right? But that doesn't mean that it's always dramatic and that they're a horrible person in that relationship. But I personally remember my ex, if I ever got mad at a friend, not mad, but like disappointed, or my feelings got hurt by a friend, or a family member disappointed me, he would take it to the full extreme to like make me want to turn against them and like feed into it. And that is a form of isolation, because what they're doing is they're putting things in your head to further feed the fear that's already there in you. It's not truth, because if he truly loved you, he would want to protect those relationships if they were worth protecting. And he would say, stand up for yourself. Here's some boundaries. Here's some ways. Not, oh yeah, F them. They're a piece of crap. They never loved you. That's, if they are pulling out torches with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay for your husband to ride for you. Like, we always talk about those ride or dies, and that's good too. Like, there's times where your husband really does have to be like that. Like, as much as women do when it comes to protecting our husbands. We're like, no, you can't hurt them anymore. But if they are feeding into things that could be resolved, that aren't that toxic, but just for their gain, that is a form of isolation. They'll manipulate. And I, as I said, I watched that for years. I have a best friend that my ex tried to do that all the time with. Anytime me and her were just not on the same page, and it wasn't even a big fight or anything. It was just life was life, and he would just be like, "See, she's a horrible friend." And I'm like, "What?" You know what I mean? What? And that is. So then they start making you actually self-isolate. You're not noticing you're doing it. I think another one, Tara, with a form of abuse that people don't realize, and maybe you don't realize, there's a personality change in that person.
Mm-hmm.
There's a personality change. It might not be screaming out the rooftops, but try to go out to dinner with them for more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If they are continuously on their phone and can't even pay attention to you, you might take it as them being rude, right? Oh, they're so rude. Or if they're continuously, like, if you guys are in Target, right? Because I know some of me and my friends, we just love to go to dinner, hit up Target, with our Starbucks, and just mindlessly walk. And you see your friend in the back, you go, okay, I'll call you. I'll be home. I'll be okay. I told you, okay, I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Tara, I just heard from Lauren. She got the time. We got the times wrong. She thought it was 5 p.m. your time.
Oh, okay.
Which would be 6 o'clock my time. So there was a confusion on her end.
That's okay. It's okay. I figured that the time change you guys tends to throw us sometimes.
Yeah.
So, because there's a time difference for everybody different podcast guests who come in and out. So, absolutely. So, if yeah, just let her know if she can't be here. That's okay. We'll get her on another time. But if she wants to come in, then we can do that.
Yeah, she said she's still in the car and she's with her mom.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
So with that being said, with the personality change, I mean, remember, I personally, Tara, I was always, they call me a social butterfly when I was younger because I love to talk to people. I loved when my parents would have social gatherings. I was a dork like that. I just loved being around people, even at church. I was always like, oh, I want to go talk to everybody. I was like the little old church lady. Who has to talk to everybody before and after church. That changed immediately. Right. I didn't hold conversations. I couldn't even stay on the phone with you for an hour. So I feel that if you are watching your friend, because when you're in a relationship, that person should be bringing out the best in you. If they're bringing out the worst in you, and your friends and family are going to see it, then if they're stressed all the time, if they're, making excuses for their absence to family parties or, canceling on you a lot, that is a huge. And again, it could be so misconstrued, Tara, right? Because some people might just be like, she's really into him and she's ignoring me. Yes. And I've seen that happen too, where people are like, well, they're just in this new relationship and they just can't find, and being honest with, just check in on your friends. Mm-hmm. Don't assume.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, my thought on this is, why don't you see if Lauren can be available tomorrow for the regular podcast time? And we'll I'm sorry, everybody, we'll have to reschedule the Survivor forgiveness one for tomorrow. We'll see if Lauren can do that. In the meantime, Amanda and I will finish up. We'll talk more about these red flags to wind down this podcast, and hopefully Lauren can come on tomorrow at 5, and we will do that. So while she's doing that, let's talk about she was saying, quick to anger. That's definitely, the scary reactions over those little things that become a huge fight, something that's normal. Like, this is what gets me. This is where you can tell. Like, if your child spilled a drink, the difference between when you're sitting there at a restaurant, let's put it that way, and the table, they have children, and one child spills a drink, you can tell the difference in the parenting skills, right? You see the one parent who'll blow up at that child just, and you think, oh my God, it was just some water. And the other child who's the other parent a different parent will go, oh, well, it's just some water. Let's clean this up. We'll clean up the table. Here's some napkins. Not that big a deal. It's easy to clean up. Okay, so which is the better parent? Well, take that over to your relationships, right? If you spilled that drink in the relationship, is that person blowing up? Look what you did! You made this mess. Or are they going, hey, let me help you clean this up?
Yes.
Why don't we? That's my big question. Why don't we, as people, put that kind of a perspective on it in our dating relationships?
Absolutely. I mean, I wish that I would have took more seriously when I was picking my partners to wait and to get serious until I really saw how they handled crisis or frustration or disappointment, or I'm sorry, the biggest I'm going to say right now is accountability. If you're with a partner that cannot take accountability, you will always be the problem, whether they want to believe it or not.
Right.
So when you are out on a date and you hear someone, I saw a post the other Tara, and it was so good. It said, The love of your life is not going to have an ex reposting domestic violence awareness memes right after date.
Right. That is exactly the truth. That's a good one.
And the thing is, and I'm going to tell you again from my own experience, if he trash talks all the women, if he is sitting at you with Olive Garden, right? You're sitting there enjoying your breadsticks, and he's all like talking about these women that just screwed him over, and one after one, and there's no accountability. Like, he never says, and listen, I know we've all had, I've had past where I've had consecutive relationships where I've tried and it was bad. And then I've had one where I sabotaged and had to take up. But see, I can say that freely. But if they cannot sit there and say freely, well, I did have one that was kind of both of us, and even for them to be doing that on the first date, that's one thing to say. I've been through some relationships, they weren't great. I have some issues because of that. That's okay. But to seriously sit there and talk about that person to you on a first date, you're going to be that person on his other date. The complaint that you probably weren't supposed to be a complaint for.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. If even with watch how they treat their siblings or their mother. And I get it. Not every mother is a great mother, and there's issues. But if he is actively not making boundaries, where a man who's healthy is going to make boundaries with that unhealthy mother. They're going to say, I love her, but I have boundaries with this woman. And she, and I don't see her a lot. I respect her. But if he is like, F-U-B, and then he gets off the phone and says, so sorry, she beat me, or she wasn't a good mother. There's no excuse for that behavior, even if she was a bad mother. Those are things, even with his sisters or friends, watch, just sit back and watch, even how he treats people in public, or if you're on a date and you see him staring at other women, you know what I mean? Watch his body language, watch how he takes in what you're saying. You're allowed to be a little picky. But the first and foremost things I do see in a lot of abuse that people don't talk about a lot is, again, and Tara, I'm sure, we see it a lot, but what people don't realize too, when they're not actively advocating for it or actively talking about it, is the control behind the scenes of certain things that we're not going to recognize when they show up at Christmas Day. So I can sit here and say, look for bruised eyes or a busted lip, or they're going to put bruises somewhere else.
Right.
So just tend to always be, mindful that just because you're not seeing a busted lip or a broken nose or big eyes, swollen, those wouldn't stay at home until they do heal. Sometimes they don't have a choice to leave the house until that does heal because of their abuser. So always understand that there's going to be underlying things, but they're going to be loud if you pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Some of the other ones I think of off the top of my head is the jealousy. Like they're checking up on you and like, why didn't you answer? You must be with someone else. Who are you with?
Right. Even with family members. Like, it's weird. Even if it's like a brother-in-law or, or a family, that they will be very odd. Like, just having this intent of, and even as you said, jealousy. Sometimes the jealousy is of really stupid things. Like things that you're like, really? Like, maybe even say, hey, you're watching a movie and you're like, that actor, he's good looking,
Yeah.
Movie broken. TV smashed, you know what I mean? That's not normal.
Mm-mm.
That's not, and you know what? Someone can healthily say, oh, that kind of made, I didn't like that you said that. That you have every right to say that, but smashing my TV and breaking, those are the things.
Mm-hmm.
Rages over things that are not anywhere in the category to even get upset about.
Mm-hmm.
Or
well, you've barely got into the relationship and they want you to put Life 360 on the phone.
Yep.
So they can see where you are.
Or they continue to call you so much during the time that you're out with your friends that your friends just do want to take you home.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. And I mean, I can't even remember, because I I went with my friends. We went to a party, and this was right when I started talking to my abuser. And this guy at a party, I didn't know him from Adam, and he kept telling me that this guy's an a-hole. You need to stop talking to him. And I was like, oh, he's like, no. He's like, I don't like this. Like, he was getting so mad, and I never did met this guy a day in my life. And they ended up having to take me home because of how much he kept calling me, how bad he kept making it, that I was like, you know what? I'm ruining this for everybody. And this is becoming everybody's attention. Just take me home. And I remember my friend was so pissed at me that night because at the time, rightfully so, but she wasn't understanding what was going on. She did not understand that. She was just like, you're picking this guy instead of hanging out with us. And you could have just, in my brain, I was like, but I don't want him to stop talking to me. And even though to me now that makes my stomach hurt, that's what was running in the back of my head. He's going to ghost me if I don't. And he had me on the string already where he could wave it and I would keep jumping for whatever he would put over me to make me not want to lose his attention. And that happens a lot. Even we have I'm from Pittsburgh, and we have an amusement park called Kennywood. And I went with my friends. We were all in our early 20s. We were all off from work. We all had our 20 money, when you don't have a lot of bills and you can go to the park, right? And he called me. He made me call him every time I was in line. He said, you get off that ride. I want to hear from you. So, when you're in the line, you're talking to your friends, right? You're being fun. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And then that ding ding goes off again. They're looking at you like,
exactly. They
again?
got
Are they again? What do they want this time?
She's like, can you even get on the ride or do you need to sit out? Like, it was getting to the point where they were like done with me. Rightfully so. But it was bad. And I was even getting upset because I was like, dude, he kept making comments. Like, he kept calling me his wife. Oh, I have to work all day and my wife's at an amusement park. And I'm like, how am I your wife? Like, it was just very...
That's another red flag right there when they're calling you a wife when they haven't married you.
Oh, yes. I got called wife for a decade without that title. We never got married. But to me, it was like, well, I'm not really wanting that. But I'll give you the title to make it look the way I want to look. Let's do it backwards. I'll give you the kids to keep you stuck.
Well, it's a way of controlling you because they're manipulating. This is a manipulation tactic into making you think that this relationship means something more to them, more significant. He's your husband, you're his wife, but they're not willing to make the commitment. So it's all about how they're manipulating you into that role.
Yeah, absolutely. They're shaping you. And they make you want to think that you hold a bigger place in their life than you actually do.
Right.
Well, because they're giving you the wife title, and though in my eyes that was a huge title. I'm sure into anyone your eyes, that's a huge title for women. Not to him. That was more of like, I have power over you. This is what you want to hear. Because when I met him, I was in that age of I am dating to marry. That's what I used to tell my boyfriends in my early 20s. I'm dating to marry. Right? Because I'm a Christian and I didn't want to be going through all these different relationships. So when he heard that in his head, well, she wants to be my wife. She wants to hear this. She wants to hear that. So he played my narrative. I'm sure if I sat there and said I'm an independent woman, I don't want to get married, he would have played it another narrative.
Right.
It was never about his intentions or his love for me or what he wanted for our life. It was the narrative that he needed to play to keep me under his thumb. And they will do that. And you will be so confused because you feel like you're in this reality together. You're not. And I knew that when he went out and bought a $700 motor for his quad and bought me a $200 engagement ring. That was more of like, shut up. There's your engagement ring. But now I got what I really wanted, this motor. Right. You know what I mean? And they'll show you. They'll always continuously show you. You just got to see it through the hints. And even as Jim said here, there's a difference between a way a man looks at another man when he is angry, and there is a way he looks at a woman in anger. Watch his eyes. It will tell all. And Jim's 100% correct. The eyes will change. Even watch someone when they get annoyed with you for something you do. Watch their face.
Yeah.
Watch their expression. That will tell you. They might not say it, their face will. I caught it several times.
Hmm. No, of course. Well, they react and they push those boundaries, but well, and that's another thing. They push boundaries.
Mhm.
They find out what your boundaries are and then them.
Mhm.
And then they say like, well, that's your fault. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive, right? And it doesn't matter what that boundary is. It can be emotional, where
Physically.
you sit there and go, "Oh, well, I can't stand like when someone mocks me or something." And then they push that boundary and then they keep going with that boundary and then they do it and do it and do it and do it and do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they're just being too sensitive.
Exactly.
Or they'll push that physical boundary, or even sexual or digital. And they push them early on.
They really do because they're trying to figure out with how much they can get away from you. And I feel like it's like a game, right? Like they're leveling up, like a video game. So they'll do their first challenge. If they can get through that first challenge and you're still staying, they go to a second challenge.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I went through this. Oh, and then they're going to get used to your trauma responses. They're going to get used to if you're avoidant, a non-avoidant, if you're going to, they're going to learn everything of the way you're going to handle these situations. And they're going to go, it's really not as bad as it is for me to take this risk. That is her reaction because she'll stay.
Mhm.
And that is not on you. That is just what you've been conditioned to do. Or sometimes it's your self worth of believing that, as women, and I read, again, another meme I read that we think by staying and loving them and giving them grace and trying to help them is going to make the difference. And I did believe that at one point in my life. Does not. You're just teaching them what you will accept. And
Mhm.
that's hard because that's not your intentions when you're doing that, but it's the reality of what it is. And it's they will take full of it. That is not love to them. That is weakness. That is more way to get over you. Yep.
Yes. Yes. And this doesn't happen to just weak-willed women. That's a misconception. For
No,
some
more
reason,
stronger.
what I have seen, and even this, I saw some statistics not that long ago that back it. Um, these narcissistic, abusive men actually seek out strong-willed women.
Mhm. Yes, yes. And I see. I'm a smart mouth. I was a smart mouth since I was a little girl. I always talk about it on here. That was why I got grounded all the time. My mom will tell you that herself. But I'm also very strong willed. I don't like people not to tell me what to do. And if you tell me I can't do something, it makes me want to do it 10 times more. So I always wondered why he picked me. I always used to say that to him when we were arguing. If you don't like, you fell in like, I mean, and again, I'm having these like logical conversations with someone that's not logical. But I kept saying to him, you know how I am. You know I'm a smart mouth. You know that I don't like being told what to do. You know I like to do opposite. So why is this new to you? And I did read that, Tara. More and more, they will go after strong women. First off, narcissists like to marry you. So they actually like how you look out into the community, how you present yourself, how you make them look. But in the same time, what they're doing is breaking you down so that they no longer have to deal with that side of you, the mouthiness, the standing out for yourself. And it's like they try to maim you a little bit. But I've seen it more and more that I talk to women in this organization. We all have this certain kind of don't mess with us personality. We had that prior to our abuse too. It's just something that's in us. So Tara's 100% correct. I think that we always had this persona, but thanks to Lifetime movies, that these women are just like, oh, I'm so small minded and so confused. And no.
I think
Again,
part of it, I don't, just my personal opinion, just going to say this. I think part of it is the thrill for them of breaking someone who is
Yes.
so strong-willed, but also because strong-willed people tend to hold it all together and not allow the outside world to see they're falling apart, to see the chaos.
Yes.
And so it makes it easier to control them because they don't want people to see the chaos
No.
that is their life.
No.
They can control that and not let people see it. That allows the abuser to get away with more for a longer period of time without their support systems around that person seeing it.
No,
That's
I
my
agree.
personal opinion.
No, I agree, because I agree, Tara, because I think, as you said, if they were with a woman who was emotionally messy in public, right? Like, she was gonna call him out, or she couldn't hold her emotion together, not even with him, but just regular day to day, he's gonna be like, I'm not interested. That's messy. That's. And I'm gonna tell you, I even saw that with my ex. Because there's been period of times where we've broken up and he was dating, and we both were not together. And the way that he would talk about people, it was the moment either A, they no longer saw him in that glowy, persona he wanted them to see him, or it was when they were messy. And it wasn't, well, you were able to handle that and you didn't break down and then I'm getting this ego boost, right? Because I'm like, oh, look at me. He thinks, no. He's saying, you can put up with my BS more than she can.
Right.
That's what they're saying. You think they're saying you're so strong and so confident. They're saying, no, you can put up with more BS than she can.
Yes, that's essentially what I feel like they do. That they specifically specifically target people because of that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's see. What about the gaslighting? Everybody immediately usually goes to the gaslighting, but the gaslighting is a big, big thing because that's the thing that drives you insane. And it starts pretty quickly. They didn't say that. You misheard. You're
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I even had proof. I mean, I don't know if you've been there, Tara, but I've had proof. And I've been told my proof is wrong. I don't know what I'm looking at.
They're the masters of the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, I told him, I said, well, now your email is emailing women for you. I mean, I literally had an email with his email address. I printed things out. I was showing him. He's like, yeah, that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, our daughter.
You didn't see that other woman. You did not see me kissing her.
He's like, this was not me with my email address on our computer. Like, it was just so, and again, every time he would do that, it wasn't like I probed harder. I would just be so, like, confused in how to handle it. It would just stop. I would just be like, and that's what he wanted. And I sometimes think, and I'm like, oh, I made that so easy. I want to, like, kick myself, like, but it was the only way I knew how to respond at that time. I would just shut down being like, what? Mm-hmm. What? Like, I'm showing you. Mm-hmm. And then if I did at times, because there was times, I'm going to tell you guys, I would be a liar. I didn't care what he said. I was fighting mad and the house was about to burn down and he was about to be kicked out and I had it. And I remember even times I would contact the girl and the girl would out him before he could even out himself. And he'd still be like, I don't know her. So again, it's, I mean, I even had to the point where he flipped it, made it like I was cheating with some number he called off my phone for a Craigslist ad. This was years ago when Craigslist was still the central meet where you could buy stuff online, not marketplace. And he caused an issue in that marriage where the wife was flipping out, thinking this poor man's cheating on her when there was nothing going on.
Oh my.
He caused this whole thing because he was the one cheating. So they'll even make false narratives in their life and then blow up some other random stranger's life just to make a point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I experienced, like I said, with mine, he proposed within like 6 weeks.
Right, and you're like, that's so romantic.
And then we're 5 months into the relationship and you're like, yeah, he's my fiance. And you're like, and he's like, we're not engaged. Do you see a ring? But you proposed. I said yes. You got down on one knee.
Like, I'm really confused with this
That
process.
didn't happen. Not like that. You took it wrong. I'm like, how do you take that wrong? What are you saying? And conversations. I remember conversations of something. There was something going on with even his mother, and because the families get into it too to protect them, and it was like she told him, I never called. You never called. You never called. I'm like, I literally because he was long distance to call, and I talked to his mother. And see, I don't know if she said it or he said it because it could have gone either way with one of them. But I literally had to pull out my phone bill and show the long distance call log. Yes, I did call. Yes, I did. Well, I don't know who you got, but no, it's on the phone bill. I don't know.
We were at the most random times and the most inappropriate times. Like, we could have, if you had any doubts about this, we could have talked about this at a more time. I remember my first OBGYN appointment. They do that like little tracker where they can check your due date by the time of your, conception date. And they ask you like when you missed your period and all. He literally was like on top of the doctor, like verifying the date, because he told me if it was past a certain date, he knew it wasn't his.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's yours. Like, I remember the whole time I'm thinking, okay, we can play this game. But like, do you know how horrible that is? Like, that's your first child, your first OBGYN appointment, pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to, and I remember the look on the doctor's face. He was like, he even looked like mortified. He looked like, yeah, this is a jerk. So they're always asking for proof of things or things that you're just like, why do you not? Why do you not? I don't
You
have
said we go into counseling. No, I never said that. You said that. I didn't say that. Yeah.
Right.
You misheard that. You read into that what you wanted to read. No. Well, that's not it.
Or when they get in fights and they say hurtful things and then the fight's over and you try to talk to them about something they said to you that hurt. And they're like, I never said that, Amanda. You always take that wrong because of the way things are in your head. You always think people are out for you.
Mm-hmm. Because of the trauma that you experienced as a child.
Yes. Yes, because of the way your mother talked to you. This is how you act. And I'm not her. You need to realize I'm not her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's definitely, and then well, you mentioned that every ex they have is crazy. Of course, every ex, it was their problem. They're not responsible for anything, but then it turns into you're the crazy. You're the one, your fault. Everything falls on your shoulders as you're responsible for all the problems within the relationship.
Well, and I even found in my case, I caught him in lies. And then when I would confront him, he would lie again. And I'd be believing a lie to make up for that lie. So it was like lies after lies after lies. They have this life persona when you meet them. And then piece by piece, those lies will start being exposed. But they'll always have some kind of excuse for why they lied to you. Oh, I was so afraid you were going to leave me. Oh, that, like, my ex, when I met him, he told me that he had a biological child that he gave his rights away for. I believed that all the way up until I gave birth to our first child. And it wasn't his. It never was his. And he knew that. There would have been no possible way that was his. And because he made up some false narrative in his head with this woman years ago, he felt that he needed to make up a false narrative of who he was to me. And even when we got serious and I got pregnant, I was actually giving birth to his first child. He was making me believe this was his second child. It just, none of that makes any sense
That's
at all.
that's that's crazy. That's for sure. That's definitely right. And mine was really good at this. Is another one, the crying with the apologies. The minute I'd catch them at something, even from early on, there was always crying and begging and all these promises and the I'm sorry's, and they said they changed, but nothing ever changed. It was over and over. And the crying would just make you feel so bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially I don't, a lot of people who haven't experienced it, to watch a grown man cry, even when you're young, watching a grown man crying does something to a woman. You can't, that's something that I know with my grandfather and the father figures I had, you didn't see them cry unless it was just something so traumatic. And here they are crying about this relationship and they're going to lose you and stuff. And you think, oh, well, I must be that important. This must be something really traumatic for him. He doesn't want to lose me. He must really love me. Because grown men don't do that unless it's something that excruciatingly painful, right? And at least that was my generation. And
Right. Because I never saw my dad cry unless it was like I watched him maybe once and it was the death of his uncle who was like his dad. So I never watched a man have a full on meltdown a lot.
yeah. So if they use that for a manipulation tactic over and over, yeah, you definitely, that is definitely a red flag. Definitely a red flag. What else do you think are red flags, Amanda?
Good gracious. Their feelings more being valid than yours. So when
Mm,
they're angry and they can honestly see it's affecting you, but they don't care because their emotions and their anger is more prevalent at that moment,
yeah,
run,
run.
run.
hmm When it turns into, when you're trying to tell them about your feelings and they turn around and go, well, what about my feelings? No, that's not what we were talking about here. We were talking about me. Let's not change that subject. And if they continue to do that, that is a serious red flag. That is a serious red flag because they turn it all about them and their feelings almost immediately. Yeah, it's insane. And it's definitely one of their best manipulation tactics. Because then they get you all confused about, all of a sudden you're dealing with their feelings and their emotions, and where did your feelings and your emotions in the scenario go? Well, they went out the window. And do you ever get back to dealing with that by the end of that whole chaos of manipulation in the conversation? No. No, it never circles back around. So, Amanda, you texting Lauren.
Yeah, she was letting me know that she's able to come on tomorrow. So
Yeah, good. So, everybody, if you are tuning in for Miss Lauren on finding forgiveness as a survivor, we will be doing that tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time here. So, you will not miss that with Miss Lauren, but that's okay. Um, I think Miss Amanda and I are doing fairly well on the fly here towards our end. We do apologize for that. We apologize to Lauren out there for the mix up in the times. So, but she is our on our board of directors. So We just love her to death. She's been on the podcast several times, and she's one of your favorite guests coming back on. So definitely check that out. So, um, all right, Miss Lauren, we are. I mean, Miss Lauren, Miss Amanda.
It's coming that time, Tara. It's coming that time.
Yeah, we're coming up to the end of this marathon.
My goodness, 4 hours we've been in here.
Yes, and we want to thank everybody who has watched and stayed with us on this Giving Tuesday. So as we come to the end of this Giving Tuesday marathon, definitely just want to say thank you. We want to thank everyone for showing up today, whether you stayed for 5 minutes or for one segment or the entire 4 hours. We thank you definitely for listening, for commenting, for sharing, for supporting the mission. And to those who donated, we thank you. Every dollar truly does matter. Giving Tuesday is not up yet, so please, um, whatever you can do to help, especially for Holidays of Hope, so that we can help support these children. And I want to thank those who couldn't give financially, right? But have been here and commented and heard and watched and shared, and for showing up, because that always counts, right, Amanda?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Always.
tonight isn't just about raising funds. We tried to help raise more awareness. We tried to honor the children we're serving, the survivors we support, the lives that can be protected every single day. It was definitely about telling the truth and about domestic violence. We want to give hope and community, and remind survivors out there that they're not alone and you're never invisible. I want to thank Amanda for everything she did tonight and staying with me, especially on the fly here towards the end, for all the different segments and supportees and survivor stories. She works definitely tirelessly behind the scenes on the podcast, and we couldn't do this without her. And I think Miss Lauren out there for being willing to come back tomorrow. So definitely come back and listen to her, share her wisdom and her heart about forgiveness for survivors and what that looks like. So definitely join that. Her voice is definitely a powerful gift to this organization and to every survivor who hears her. So definitely come back for that. To our volunteers and support line advocates and our graphics team, our engagement team, our reel creators, even our website people and moderators, they are the backbone. You are the backbone of this mission. So everything we do, you choosing to give your time, your energy, your love, and your compassion to the people we serve. We thank them, and we want to thank our community out there, survivors who watch, even if you're watching silently, the ones who comment bravely, the ones who reach out for help. We thank you for trusting us. We thank you for letting us into your story. So just one more time, want to remind everybody that every dollar that came to us tonight is giving to Christmas for Children who've suffered an unimaginable loss. Keep our support lines running, bring survivors, help to gather together at our retreats, provide scholarships, create and educate, and have a measurable impact in our communities. And so let's keep this mission moving forward, into this next year. And if you didn't donate, you just invest in some hope and safety and healing here by sharing our programs. And as we close, I want every survivor listening to this know that you matter and your story matters. Your healing matters. You are definitely worthy. worthy of love and safety and peace and a future that looks nothing like that past you had. So we see you and we believe you, and we want to continue being here for you and continue this fight together. And thank you for spending tonight with us and for supporting BTS ADV and for being a part of this community. From the bottom of our heart, good night and take care of yourselves. And we'll see you tomorrow night on Through the Eyes of Survivors.
Every day, survivors and children impacted by domestic violence turn to us searching for hope, safety, and healing. At BTS ADV, we support survivors with programs that touch every part of their healing journey, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Your support fuels Holidays of Hope, providing Christmas for children who've lost a parent to domestic violence. Our support line, a compassionate, survivor-centered resource, operating 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. Sister Survivor Retreats, safe spaces where women rebuild confidence, rest, and community. Grants of Hope scholarships, helping survivors rebuild their future through education and stability. Run for Her, uniting survivors and supporters to honor those we've lost and empower those still fighting. Survivor to Survivor, support daily encouragement, resources, and emotional guidance. Awareness and prevention outreach that reaches millions online. And our podcast, Through the Eyes of Survivors, amplifying real stories and education. When you donate to BTS ADV, you're not giving to a large corporation or a faceless machine. You're directly impacting families in crisis. You're helping a survivor make a safety plan. You're helping a grieving child feel seen at Christmas. You're helping a woman find her voice at our retreats. If you believe in healing, hope, and ending the silence, join us. Your donation, big or small, fuels life-changing programs for survivors and their children. Stand with us. Support this mission. Help us change lives one survivor at a time. BTS ADV, where healing begins and hope lives. Every day, survivors and children